worked really hard on this invocation. I worked really hard on this one.
Good evening. I call this April 8th, 2025 meeting of the Morrisville Town Council to order. Councilmember Scroggins-Johnson has let us know that she hopes to join us later in the evening. Thank you to those here in person with us tonight, those watching via live stream, and those who are watching a recording of this meeting. Our town mission statement, which helps guide our decisions tonight and into the future, is connecting our diverse community to an enhanced quality of life through innovative programs and services. Sergeant Lori Strickland is our Sergeant at Arms for this evening's meeting. We thank you for your attendance. This evening, Councilmember Rao will be leading our invocation. Councilmember Rao.
Please bow our heads in prayer. Let us take a moment to reflect this evening and center on ourselves. Over the last few weeks, we have celebrated Holi, the Indian festival of colors, a vibrant reminder that life is most beautiful when all shades come together in harmony. Holi is more than a festival. It is the call to shed the burdens of the past, forgive, and begin again with joy in our hearts and love in our actions. As we gather in our community, let us remember that just as the colors of Holi blend to create beauty, so too do our diverse backgrounds, cultures, and ideas, weaving together the fabric of a strong, united society. Let us also pray for the healing division in our state and our nation. In a time when polarization threatens to pull us apart, may the spirit of Holi remind us of our shared humanity, our common hopes, and our deep connections. And in this digital age, where technology bridges vast distances and allows us to connect across borders, may we use these tools not to divide, but to amplify understanding, compassion, and collaboration. Let us be inspired to live as if we were all nodes in one vast network, where each connection we make is a chance to lift one another up, to spread light, and to build a better future. May the colors of Holi brighten our hearts, may love guide our actions, and may innovation continue to serve the greater good. And may we all live connected and live well, not only in the town of Morrisville, but in our own lives. Amen.
Amen. All who are able, please stand as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That was funny. I was just waiting for them all to get up. And then you were just like, make it happen. So before we adopt tonight's agenda, Town Council policy is to review and ensure there are no conflicts of interest or appearance of conflict of interest with any items on the agenda. Is there anything anyone would like to share? Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion and a second to adopt this evening's regular agenda?
I move that we adopt this evening's agenda. Sorry.
A loud motion by Councilmember Rao, a second by Councilmember Rabadi. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously 6-0. There are 5 items on this evening's consent agenda: resolution amending Town Council Rules of Procedure, General Fund Budget Ordinance Amendments for April FY 2025, resolution and capital project ordinance amendment for purchase of property at 0 Scoggins Avenue, resolution approving Wake County tax reports, and resolution appointing the town clerk. Would any member of the council wish to pull any item for discussion, or is there a motion and second to adopt the consent agenda?
I would like to pull the town clerk
Okay.
item.
I'd entertain a motion for the 4 consent items except for the town clerk item. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make that.
Okay,
Okay.
Councilmember
I'll second.
Rabadi. Councilmember Johnson with the motion, Councilmember Rabadi on the second. All those in favor of adopting the consent agenda with that one item removed, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously 6-0. Now we're going to go ahead and address that one item, the appointment of the town clerk. Councilmember Rabadi.
Thank you. Just on behalf of all of us, I just wanted to welcome Kayla officially to Morrisville. We looked for you for a really long time, so it is great to have you here. Congratulations and welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have anything? Okay, I'd entertain a motion for item 6E, resolution of appointment for the town clerk.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Johnson, a second from Councilmember Rabadi. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously 6-0. Welcome and congratulations. Let's have a little round of applause for that. We have 3 proclamations this evening. Councilmember Johnson will read the first proclamation recognizing the Wake Early College of Information and Biotechnologies, and I think that we have the principal here to accept it.
So I'm really honored to be able to read this. This is a proclamation honoring the very first high school graduating class here in the town of Morrisville. So whereas Wake Early College of Information and Biotechnologies, which is affectionately known as WESIB, located in Morrisville, North Carolina, was established in August 2022. It is situated at Wake Technical Community College's new Research Triangle Park campus and proudly stands as the first high school within the town of Morrisville. And whereas WESIB will celebrate a significant milestone with its inaugural commencement ceremony for the class of 2025 on May 21st, 2025, and whereas WESIB students have distinguished themselves through exceptional achievements by consistently demonstrating excellence in academics, earning an A school report card grade, achieving the highest district-wide scores on end of course exams, exceeding growth expectations every year, and being recognized as a school of excellence by Magnet Schools of America. And whereas the unwavering commitment, innovation, and perseverance of the faculty, staff, students, and community partners of WESIB have made a profound and lasting impact on education and the broader community in partnership with the RTP business community, providing aspiring students with invaluable real-world work experience and high-demand careers, giving them a competitive edge in the job market. And whereas WESIB offers a unique blend of high school and Wake Tech Community College courses dedicated to bringing together students from diverse backgrounds across the Wake County School District. This inclusive learning environment with a specialized focus on biotechnology, cybersecurity, and computer programming empowers students with the skills, knowledge, and opportunities needed for college and career readiness in these high-demand fields. Graduating students earn both a high school diploma and college credits, with the potential to graduate with an applied science degree after completing an optional 13th year. Now, therefore, the Town Council of the Town of Morrisville does proudly and hereby recognize and congratulate the inaugural graduating class of the Wake Early College of Information and Biotechnologies on May 21st, 2025, and wishes them much success for the future. And so in the audience today, we have Principal Abby Stotzenberg here to accept the proclamation, but she brought a bunch of friends with her. So I'm going to ask Principal Stotzenberg and everyone that you want to come forward and please accept this proclamation on behalf of the whole town council and the town of Morrisville.
If everybody's coming, we should recognize. So let's go to. Okay. So when we have a large crowd, we'd like to have you guys up front, and then we'll have your back. We'll be behind.
So we're all getting situated. students, staff, and parents from this first inaugural graduating class, and we are incredibly proud of all of you. So congratulations to everyone, especially our graduating.
The next proclamation recognizing Earth Day will be read by Councilmember Rabati.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas Earth Day was first celebrated on April 22nd, 1970, and whereas April 22nd, 2025 will be the 55th anniversary of Earth Day, and whereas new and continuing challenges, including climate change, pollution, sea level rise, loss of forests, wetlands, and other wildlife habitats reinforce the need for adequate protections for the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the land we inhabit, and the animals we live alongside. And whereas there is scientific consensus that climate change poses a dire threat to our planet and its inhabitants, and that urgent and unprecedented changes are needed to mitigate its worst effects. And whereas Earth Day reaffirms our responsibility in the global effort to combat climate change and protect our planet for all. And whereas all species play a unique role in the complex web of life and contribute to the ecosystem services on which all life on Earth depends, and hence protecting biodiversity is crucial to the survival of this planet and its inhabitants. And whereas climate change impacts increased and intensified deforestation, wildfires, floods, rising seas, diseases, droughts, and extreme weather, and whereas it is imperative to recognize and understand alternative ways of thinking about sustainable living and solutions, and whereas it is more important than ever to call for a unified global response and to cooperate regionally and internationally to defend the environmental progress that has been heretofore gained. Now, therefore, the Town Council of the Town of Morrisville does hereby recognize April 22nd, 2025 as Earth Day, and encourages all residents, businesses, and organizations to participate in Earth Day education and activities surrounding the themes selected by the Morrisville Environmental and Stormwater Committee. Compost, Nature's Superhero. On Saturday, April 26, in conjunction with the Western Wake Farmers Market from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Do we have anyone to receive this proclamation?
Kimberly Connolly, our Sustainability.
Okay, Kimberly Connolly, our Sustainability Director, will receive the proclamation. Here you go, Kimberly. Want to say a few words?
Thank you. Certainly, I will. Thank you to Town Council for your support of Earth Day and all of the things that we're doing surrounding sustainability. As the proclamation indicated, it was more important than ever, and I really appreciate it. We'd love to see you all at our Earth Day celebration on April 26th at the Western Wake Farmers Market. Thank you.
The final proclamation recognizing Nepal Day will be read by Mayor Pro Tem Garamella.
Thanks, Mayor. This is a proclamation recognizing April 19, 2025 as Nepal Day. Whereas Nepalese citizens live in the town of Morrisville and in Wake County comprises of a significant portion of the Asian demographic, which makes up almost half of our local residents. And whereas Nepalese citizens play a key role in our community by making significant contribution to our economy and social well-being of the town, and whereas the Nepalese provide cultural diversity in this area with a diverse ethnic background, including over 100 different languages, and whereas the Nepalese have been a strong supporter of the US and our allies during the Great World Wars and lost tens and thousands of Nepalese during the Second World War alone. And whereas Buddha was born in Nepal and the Nepalese community has always been a harbinger of peace and harmony and tolerance, and whereas the Nepalese Center of North Carolina, NCNC Inc., is a nonprofit 501c3 organization established in 1999, serving Nepalese American citizens across the state of North Carolina. Now, therefore, the town of Morrisville, Council and the town of Morrisville does thereby proclaim April 19th as Nepal Day in the town of Morrisville and calls the residents to celebrate the past and ongoing contributions of the Nepalese to our community. Can I have the Nepalese community come by to the stage, please?
And can we get the microphone up here in case one of them wants to speak as well, please? Thank you.
So who's taking it? Okay. I just want to make sure. All right. Do you guys want to say something?
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
We bring it to the front, it's fine.
Good evening, everyone. I am Kalpana Bhandari. I am General Secretary for Nepal Center of North Carolina, NCNC. I'm extremely delighted and honored to be here receiving this Nepal Day proclamation from the town of Morrisville on behalf of Nepali community. As a proud Morrisville resident, it is exciting to see that Nepalis make a significant portion of the town's population and contribute to its socioeconomic growth. It was town of Morrisville where proclamation recognizing the third Saturday of April as Nepal Day started in 2017. This was subsequently followed by Wake County in 2018, North Carolina House of Representatives in 2023, and Town of Apex in 2024. This proclamation not only acknowledges the contributions of the Nepali community in the town of Morrisville, but also celebrates the inclusivity and diversity that define our society. Proclamation like this is especially important for younger Nepalese Americans, just like my 7-year-old who is sitting here in the audience today, who is witnessing that she may look different, but she belongs here. For those of you wondering what's so special about the third Saturday in April, let me tell you that this is the start, around this time is the start of a new Nepali year for us. We are currently in year 2081, going into 2082. So I know we're living in future. Our calendar is 57 years ahead of the Gregorian calendar. And to celebrate Nepali New Year, we have an event planned on April 19th. It is right here in Cedar Fork District Park. You'll see a version of mini Nepal right here where people will be dressed in Nepali attire. There will be cultural performances. There will be a variety of food for you to enjoy. There will be kids activities, Nepalese themed kids activities and live music and everything. It will start at 12 p.m. with a parade and is expected to end around 6 p.m. All of you, your friends, families, neighbors, everyone is invited. Please come and celebrate Nepali New Year 2082 with us. Hope to see you there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That's the end of our proclamations. So I think that there's people who need to go ahead and do homework if you guys want to make your way out. Thank you very much for joining us, everyone. We'll give that a moment to clear. So for those of you who are coming to Town Hall now, there will be parking available because there wasn't a few minutes ago. So next on the agenda is public address. So do we have people signed up for a public address this evening?
Mayor, we have one individual signed up for public address this evening, Linda Lyons.
Okay. So for those who have signed up to speak, please approach the microphone, stand when your name is called, begin by stating your name and residential address, and direct your comments to the council. Each speaker will be allotted 3 minutes to ensure everyone has a fair opportunity to share their thoughts. A timer will start after you state your name and address, and a buzzer will sound when your time is up. We appreciate your cooperation and help us manage the time fairly for all participants. Ms. Lyons.
My name is Linda Lyons, 1005 Church Street, Morrisville. I come to you with a simple but important request to reconsider the 3-minute time limit on public remarks. As tax-paying citizens, we deserve the same respect and opportunity to express ourselves fully as others who come before this council. While we understand the efficiency is important, limiting our ability to speak restrict our capacity to provide meaningful input and share our concerns. We as members of the community often have much more to say, especially when those concerns affect us deeply. We know we have the option to send emails, but there is a distinct difference between sending a message and standing before you to voice our concerns directly. When we stand, when we stand here, you not only hear us, but you also see the passion, the urgency, and the genuine care in our voices. It is an essential part of the democratic process. Additionally, I would like to point out that there is no time limit placed on developers or others who come before you to present their case. As tax-paying citizens, we should be allowed the same level of courtesy and consideration when we present our remarks. When I come before you today, I do so not just as an individual, but on behalf of other seniors and citizens who have approached me with their concerns. They trust that I will be able to represent their voices here and that this trust is something I take seriously. But with such a short time limit, I am unable to fully represent their concerns in a meaningful way. I ask that you remove or extend the current time limit for public remarks, allowing all of us the time and space we need to express ourselves fully. We are here to engage, to contribute, and to be heard. Please consider the importance of that. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. And I just want to remind the audience we have 2 public hearings coming up as well. So if you're signed up for that, you wouldn't want to speak during public address. That would be later in the evening. That being said, is there anyone else who would like to speak on non-public hearing items who failed to sign up? If you please approach the microphone, and then afterwards you'll fill out a form with your name and residential address and phone number for the town clerk, please.
Hi, my name is Harrison Kessling, and I live at 402 Mannington Drive. I appreciate the town's responsiveness to concern and recommendations. My girlfriend and I love cycling up to the Northwest Park to throw out our food waste, though with it being in a parking spot, it was causing some issues. I'm happy to see that it is now resolved. The compost container has been moved out of the parking space. Now we just have to resolve the issue of cars being parked in the bicycle lane. I also appreciate the town's commitment to partnering with the Western Wake Farmers Market. My girlfriend and I look forward to visiting with our neighbors and favorite vendors there each week. We have been able to ride our bikes there at least once and hope to do so more often. I believe that all these things, cycling, compost, and contributing to local commerce, support sustainability here in Morrisville. And I would like to see more opportunities to support these initiatives, specifically as it relates to native plantings, wildlife habitats, local gardening initiatives, and education campaigns for what we as citizens can do to achieve Morrisville's sustainability goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anyone else who wished to speak to this body for up to 3 minutes? Okay. Did we have any emailed comments, Town Clerk?
Not for public address, no.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item 10, public hearings. We have 2 public hearings scheduled this evening. First, we invite Elliott Ward, Planning Manager, forward to brief Town Council on the proposed amendment to the zoning map for Hamlet at Church Street. This public hearing is scheduled to continue through the April 22nd meeting when Town Council will be asked to act on this item. Mr. Ward.
Thank you, Mayor Colley. Good evening, council members. Elliott Ward, Planning Manager. I'm here to present item 2025-46-0. This is consideration of items to amend the zoning map for 808 Church Street and multiple parcels addressed 0 Church Street to the conditional medium density residential zoning district. Before I get started, I believe Town Attorney Gray is going to make a brief statement.
I just sent a memo to the council before the meeting.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks.
Yep. All right. All right. So the applicant Middleburg Communities requests to amend the zoning map for approximately 34.85 acres of parcels outlined here in red from the low density residential zoning district to the conditional medium density residential zoning district. Currently, the properties are that are addressed 0 Church Street, which are all of these here, are vacant in use. The use for 808 Church Street here is a single-family detached home. The proposed uses for the development are single-family detached and duplex homes. The surrounding area zoning districts and uses are low-density residential to the north with office and warehouse distribution uses, NC Railroad corridor to the east, industrial management and low-density residential to the south with warehouse distribution and vacant uses, and office, institutional, and low-density residential to the west with elementary school and single-family detached uses. The 2021 Future Land Use Plan designates subject properties as low-density residential. The rezoning request is to accommodate the proposed Hamlet at Church Street development seen here. The applicant will go into further detail, but I just wanted to give some brief details about the project. The Hamlet development is proposed to have 156 single-family detached and cottage duplex units, as well as a clubhouse and pool and several pocket parks and play areas. All of the units for the development would be rental units and constructed on a single large 30-acre lot. The 30 acres is the remaining developable land here after right-of-way dedication of 4.85 acres for the Airport Boulevard extension. For clarification, the proposed single-family detached and duplex uses are already permitted by right in the UDO in the low-density residential zoning district. This rezoning request to the conditional MDR district is to accommodate all of the homes as rentals on the same lot, as well as increase the allowable maximum density stated in UDO table 3.3.3 from 4.5 dwelling units per acre to 5.2. That 4.5 dwelling unit per acre maximum would equate to 135 single-family detached and duplex units. The applicant has agreed to construct a portion of the Sawmill Creek Greenway. Let me zoom in a little bit, which can be seen here and extends to the north. They would also dedicate a 20-foot public greenway easement through the development to align with the town's comprehensive transportation plan. The applicant will also contribute the required $602,060 in parkland payment in lieu fee to the town. The applicant has volunteered a condition of the rezoning also that 10% or 16 units would be designated as affordable workforce housing at 80% AMI for 30 years. Based on the Wake County School Impact Calculator, there would be an estimated 98 students in the 156 units. A traffic impact analysis was conducted in 2022 and found that no network improvements were necessary as a result of the trips generated by the development. The TIA was reviewed by the town's contracted on-call traffic engineer as well as town staff. As mentioned earlier, the applicant will dedicate 4.85 acres of the southeast corner of the site as right-of-way dedication for the future Airport Boulevard extension. The applicant will also pay $1,185,082.50 payment in lieu for the Airport Boulevard extension construction cost. The applicant will also dedicate right-of-way and construct their half of the 50-foot ultimate frontage improvement along Church Street. A portion of the project site is in the Airport Overlay B. It's about half the homes. So if we scroll back up, extends about here. The homes in the overlay would be required to be designed to limit interior noise from aircraft to an average day-night sound decibel level of 45 decibels in accordance with UDO section 3.8.2. Here are the applicant's proposed single-family detached and duplex elevations. They have included a condition that the development would substantially conform to these elevations. Slides 9 through 14 detail the voluntary conditions proposed by the applicant. I won't go through all of them as they're included in the agenda packet, but I do want to detail a few that I haven't mentioned already. Scroll down here. Condition number 13 states that a vehicular connection will allow the Iron Mountain site to continue to access Church Street through the proposed development. For context, this is the Iron Mountain site. Currently, they use this existing driveway to access, and the applicant will allow that to continue. Number 15 details additional improvements to Church Street that exceed what's required in the comprehensive transportation plan. Specifically, the applicant will install a two-way left turn lane and sidewalk along the frontage of the existing single-family homes to the entrance to the south of the site, where right-of-way permits. Also, number 16, an additional turn lane will be constructed into the northern site entrance, again, where right-of-way permits. Number 17, the applicant will retain 10% of the existing tree canopy. This excludes the areas of any rights-of-way, utility easements, and natural water areas. Per UDO section 5.4.2, single-family detached and duplex developments are currently exempt from providing any protection in the UDO. Number 18 offers planting additional evergreen shrubs adjacent to those existing homes along Church Street. This would be in addition to the required type D buffer of 3 shade trees and 3 understory trees per 100 linear feet. And number 19, they will install 2 electric charging stations at their community clubhouse. Here I wanted to highlight some of the hamlet rezoning and project history the council and the public may not be aware of. The initial request was submitted in October 2022 and went through two review cycles with staff before the applicant chose to withdraw the application. There were some similarities to the current conditions and sketch plan, but a lot has changed as well. Specifically, the original project plan had 206 units and a density of 5.9 dwelling units per acre, as opposed to the current 156 units and 5.2 dwelling units per acre. The original plan included 78 townhomes, which have now been removed, as well as the corresponding on-street and 90-degree parking aisles, which were also removed. The offer of workforce housing was doubled in a number of years from 15 to 30. The original request was submitted prior to development of the town dog park. So the applicant was planning to construct a dog park at the site that would be open to the public as well. That dog park has now been removed with our dog park being constructed, and the applicant will instead provide that $602,060 in parkland payment in lieu that the town can use towards park improvements elsewhere. Also, the fee in lieu of the Airport Boulevard extension construction was increased from $494,000 to $1,185,082.50. As mentioned earlier, the applicant has offered additional improvements along Church Street, as well as conditions to install solar panels and EV chargers at the community clubhouse. And as I discussed, they are offering 10% of the tree canopy to be saved. The staff recommends approval of the requested zoning map amendment because the proposed uses of detached homes and duplexes are compatible with the developments in the surrounding area. The Airport Boulevard dedication will help facilitate improved transportation mobility for Morrisville residents. The proposed zoning conditions would prohibit uses inconsistent with the surrounding area. The proximity of the proposed hamlet development to town center and TOD sub-areas would be ideal for tenants to engage with future businesses and events. And the proposed 10% affordable units at 80% AMI for 30 years aligns with Objective 2.1 in the Morrisville Strategic Plan. Beyond just these reasons shown on the screen here, though, staff are recommending approval. From a planning standpoint, the development makes a certain amount of sense for the town in terms of its location, the dedication to the Airport Boulevard extension, right away, the additional tree canopy saved, and the additional improvements on Church Street. And to reiterate, these uses currently are permitted by right in the LDR zoning district. If the applicant chose to subdivide and develop the 135 units that are allowed, they would legally be allowed to do so, and the town may not receive some of the benefits previously mentioned for this rezoning. The Planning and Zoning Board were briefed on the rezoning application at their February 13th meeting. There was a lot of discussion from the board, but they ultimately voted and decided to recommend denial by a vote of 3-2. Their biggest concern was the increase to traffic and strain on the McCrimmon Parkway Church Street intersection. However, they were also concerned that the 2022 TIA did not reflect today's traffic and that the imagery in the applicant's presentation did not accurately represent the proposed sketch plan. Several residents spoke during public comments at the PZB meeting as well. Resident concerns included increased traffic, noise and environmental impacts, an increase from low to medium density, and a lack of specifics about rental rates and lease durations. Regarding some of those resident concerns about the McCrimmon Church Street intersections, I did want to conclude with a reminder that the improvements happening to McCrimmon, there are improvements happening in McCrimmon that will tie into the flyover. The section of McCrimmon will be widened to 4 lanes. There will be lengthened turn lanes on Church Street at the intersection, and there will be an 8-foot sidewalk installed along the north side of McCrimmon. Construction for this project is anticipated in the summer of next year. Here is the ordinance language. Council is asked to open a public hearing this evening, and action for the item currently slated for the following meeting on April 22nd. That's all I have for you. The applicant would like to make a presentation themselves, and then we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for staff before the applicant presents? Okay, we'd welcome the applicant. Okay, sure thing. If you gentlemen want to start with your names and your role for the record, that'd be great.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of Town Council. Worth Mills with Longleaf Law Partners, the attorney on the project.
Spencer Merritt, local partner for Middleburg Communities.
Thank you. And here on behalf of Middleburg Communities, who is the rezoning applicant, we're proposing to, as mentioned by Mr. Ward, we're proposing to rezone just under 35 acres along Church Street from LDR to conditional MDR. And this rezoning is going to facilitate a new community of primarily single-family detached homes that would be owned and managed by Middleburg Communities. As also mentioned, our proposed net density is 5.2 units per acre, just 0.7 units per acre lower than the recommended density of the LDR zoning district. And the reason behind that is the 5 acres that we have to dedicate to accommodate for both options of phase 2 of the Airport Boulevard extension that NCDOT is undertaking. If Airport Boulevard was not planned for this section or to run through the southeastern portion of this site, our proposed density would be just under 4.5 units per acre. And as mentioned, we are providing building types that are permitted and commonly found in the LDR zoning district.
Just quickly, I'll give you guys a brief overview of who Middleburg Communities is. We're based out of the Vienna, Virginia, Northern Virginia area. We have offices in Raleigh, Charlotte, Orlando, Atlanta, Tampa, and Virginia. I'm the local representative here in North Carolina. I live in Raleigh from North Carolina, so I have a lot of local ties to the area. We currently manage 4,600 units. We are currently under construction in the Triangle in Wake Forest on a similar project, actually very similar. Sometimes we have mixes of townhomes within our communities, but that project's very similar to this, where it's single family itself. We do develop apartments and build for rent, which this is single family homes. So that's an important distinction, single family home versus apartments. These are standalone, detached, single family homes. Corporately, our stated mission is to be the biggest developer of attainable, well-built, well-maintained homes in the United States, specifically Southeast. That's a stated mission for us, and we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. This would be our 8th BTR project. It's a relatively new product type. This is another thing we'll talk about. Everyone's very familiar with apartments, rental apartments. Kind of rental homes is a little bit newer. Purpose-built rental homes is a little bit newer concept. To that end, and I apologize for being a little bit hard to read, but I can speak to it. So we have a very intentional design within the hamlet community. We in the appendix, I've got lots of very colorful slides about kind of vitality and the humanistic nature of what we've done. But really the high level things I want to hit on about what the hamlet actually is that we do build with sustainable materials. We try to be as sustainable as we can. Low flow fixtures, EV chargers in the clubhouse, and in some of our garage units, we actually have gone ahead and pre-wiring for EV chargers, just knowing that's something that's going to come down the pipe. And just we use kind of low VOC materials within the community, and just kind of a best practice vision of how we build. We really emphasize green space. We like to have incidental contact. We like to call it kind of incidental physicality. So having a reason to kind of go for a walk to your neighbors, or having an inviting green space to meet your neighbors and do an outdoor activity. Connected sidewalks. Being on the Greenway Trail is a huge attraction for us. We love that, and we're excited to build that piece of the project, and can't wait for it to connect to a broader Greenway network. And a little bit about who our kind of typical. This is something we didn't really emphasize in our PCB presentation, which I think we should have. We have a typical renter. I think we all know, apartment rental is a certain stage of life. Our typical SFR, BTR, build to rent tenant is a mixture of the kind of person who might want a starter home. So it's young families and folks who maybe are trying to downsize, next stage of life, maybe want a little less maintenance, a little less headache to deal with. Some of the stats that we kind of see across our portfolio, across the country, the median term of a apartment kind of occupant is 2.5 years, call it. The typical BTR occupant is over 5 years. And that kind of aligns with what you might see as a kind of a starter home kind of buyer is usually that defined as 3 to 7 years. So that's really who our person is. It's kind of someone who wants, a foot in the door. Let's go over to, talked a little bit about this a moment ago. I thought we would jump to just an example of kind of attainability is something that's talked about a lot nowadays, but I think it's helpful to kind of show where interest rates are now and the cost of building a new home. We took a kind of what a median average price in Morrisville home and down payment and how that would equate to a monthly cost versus what we're typically expecting to see here in Morrisville for the Hamlet units. So we think we're going to be at an average of about $2,700 a month rent. That for a single bed, a 1-bedroom unit would be low 2000s, and a 3-bedroom would be high 2000s. So that's kind of the range of what our renter is. So that represents over a 50% discount to what actual home ownership would cost. So again, this is a stepping stone for people who want to be in this community and stay in this community and be a part of the community, whether they're coming and wanting to stay or they already here and maybe wanting to make a transition into a different type of home. So this represents an opportunity to build the stock of homes that hit a demographic that I know around the country, at least, people are trying to build for.
And just to provide a high-level overview of our design, excuse me here. Let's see, this is the one. So again, just looking at the layout, and I'll try to zoom in here a bit. I know this is difficult to see. So as mentioned, 156 homes, predominantly single-family detached homes. Those are 2 to 3 bedrooms. The duplex units that are proposed would be 1-bedroom units. So a little bit smaller if maybe you don't need all of that space, but still want to live in a neighborhood that looks like a traditional subdivision. We have 2 entrances off of Church Street, sort of at our northern boundary along Church and our southern boundary along Church, giving people optionality in which way they'd like to exit the site. As mentioned, we are constructing a section of the proposed north-south Greenway Trail that runs through our property. Our clubhouse and our pool are centrally located within the site. You can also see the almost 5 acres of Airport Boulevard right-of-way dedication in the southeast corner, shaded in yellow. There are a couple items that are highlighted on this plan, and I'll just go through those quickly. So the note A here represents just an example of some of the small green space that you may find between these homes, again, trying to bring people out of their homes into common meeting spaces. Note B represents a typical street profile that you'd find through that main northern entrance. This includes parallel parking. That was something that we heard at the PZB was, although each home has its own driveway, there's still a need for some on-street parallel parking to accommodate for guests. And so we have updated our concept plan to include that as well. There are additionally pull-in spaces that are located near the clubhouse. So making sure that folks who live here have a place to park, but also the people who want to come visit, they've got plenty of options to park either very close to somebody's home or very close to the clubhouse. So I did want to touch on the PZB meeting and then the changes that we've made since that meeting. We got plenty of constructive feedback, both from the neighbors who spoke at that meeting as well as from the PZB members themselves. A lot of the comments focused on traffic impacts to Church Street and the potential impacts to neighboring properties. So this slide here, and I'll back it up just a little bit. This slide here represents the improvements that are required by the UDO and those that we're offering to go above and beyond for. So the blue line represents our property's frontage. That is a stretch of Church Street that the UDO requires us to dedicate right-of-way, make all of the necessary improvements to build out that street section. There's a gap of 5 lots in between our northern and southern boundaries where there is existing surplus right-of-way today. It may not appear that way when you're just driving down the road, but on plats, on IMAPs, they're showing that there is sufficient right-of-way here for us to make off-site street improvements that will ultimately help to circulate traffic along Church Street and in and out of our site a little bit easier. And what we want to do is make those improvements in the red shaded area there. The main goal is to have the existing center turn lane, which sort of narrows and just kind of goes away at the property just north of our southern entrance. So I believe that's 810 Church Street, just above our northern entrance. So what we want to do is provide enough laneage for that center turn lane to extend all the way to our southern access point. And what that's going to do is give people a place, if needed, to wait for traffic to clear in order to turn left without backing up the rest of the southbound traffic along Church Street that is not trying to get into our site, but is just trying to make their way wherever they're trying to go. Another item that we wanted to address is a right turn lane into our northern entrance. Again, just to get people sort of out of the McCrimmon Church intersection, get them a separate entrance where they can easily turn into our site. And again, we think that by doing those things, we're going to create a consistent streetscape along this entire frontage. We're going to provide better access for our residents, our guests, and we're also going to create a consistent stretch of sidewalk here that will kind of work its way north to an existing sidewalk, and then hopefully in the future these improvements continue all the way up until you reach McCrimmon. But this, I think, is a huge step in making sure that those pedestrian improvements are put in place and they're consistent, whether you're in front of our frontage or you're in front of the 5 lots that sit between us. And again, you can see on updated sketch plans, I believe that we have made some changes to our submittal to reflect what that will look like. And again, some of the impacts that neighbors spoke about were impacts to their lots, their privacy. There were questions about stormwater. We said that we are going to be held to the town's stormwater standards, and all of our on-site runoff is going to be treated and discharged in a adequate manner. But there was also questions about what types of additional privacy do we have. We've already got the Type D buffer, which requires shade trees, understory trees, and in some instances a wall. What we wanted to do was enhance that buffer, create additional buffering at sort of your eye level. So when those understory and those shade trees grow, you've got buffering sort of, above you, and you've got buffering at your eye line. So we've added 15. We've got added a requirement to plant 15 evergreen shrubs per 100 linear feet along the shared boundary line of those 5 lots along Church Street. Those trees will have an average mature height of 8 feet, and at planting, they will have a minimum height of 4 feet. So we want to get those in the ground, get them growing fast, and make sure that we've got a layered approach to our buffering. A couple other zoning conditions that we've added since the PZB meeting deal with sustainability. We've offered a condition to preserve 10% of our existing tree canopy, and we've offered to install 2 EV charging stations at the community clubhouse. We've previously offered a condition to install solar panels on the clubhouse as well. That is still part of our condition, but was part of it when we went to the PZB. So as part of their communities, Middleburg also configures any of their garages with the ability to hook up a car charging station. So the conduit would be there if someone were to move in, and if they have an electric vehicle and they want to install a charging station, they've got the setup ready to go. It's just a matter of putting the hardware in. So we think that's a very good amenity to have for future residents as well. This table is very difficult to read from that distance, but I'll just say that some of the other sustainable design features that Middleburg has are low flow plumbing features, Energy Start appliances, and drought resistant and native landscaping. So sustainable design has been a focus of Middleburg's throughout this process. We are dedicating 10% of the units as affordable for 80% AMI for 30 years. One thing I did want to note about the AMI, and just kind of put it into context what Middleburg is offering, the HUD rent limits are set on the assumption that the rental units in question will be apartment units. Apartment units cost less to build, and they rent for less as well. I looked today for the Raleigh metro area, the fair market rent, not the 80% rent, but the fair market rent on a 3-bedroom unit is $2,035. So the fact that 10% of units could be available at a price of less than $2,000, and you're not getting an apartment unit where you share walls with people on your sides and above you, I think that's a very attainable product that Middleburg's trying to provide as a stepping stone to home ownership eventually. And now I'll have Spencer walk you through the elevations and then some of the photos we have.
So in some of the discussions we had with staff initially, the discussions about kind of materials and things like that started kind of happening. So we voluntarily included our elevations of our, one of the things that we do to drive costs and help deliver attainable products is we build the same product over and over again, called our prototype. So these are our prototype designs. This is what we're very good at building, and we can deliver clean, affordably, and well maintained. So it's hardy board siding, porches, and lots of light, lots of windows. The second page here, I don't like these ones as much, honestly, but they are basically, we have them that we've done where you can get a garage. So most of our townhome units have garages, and since we're not able to do townhomes here, we're trying to explore another variety of products that might be able to get a single family home with a garage, because we think this market probably folks would like a garage. So the reason we're including all these different cottage elevations is we feel they're the same quality, even though these drawings aren't as good as these. But they'll allow us to have different variety, and we're going to substantially conform to these materials and to these kind of architecture features. This is a recently completed project called Maybank down in the Charleston, South Carolina area, as you can probably tell by the tree. We have a similar project going up in Wilmington right now, and our project in Wake Forest will have similar units. This is our C2 actually, So our C1, but we've started adding the second balcony because people really like it. It looks very nice. These are our B3 units. These are very popular 2-bedroom, 2-story homes. And these are our A1s. These are the 1-bedroom duplex units, also very popular. And I've got lots of other pictures in the back if you want to look at them, but this hopefully gives you a sense of what our product looks like.
So just to summarize this presentation, the rezoning itself is consistent with the town's land use policies. Not only is it consistent with the policies that apply to this site with regard to density and building types, but it does complement the investments that the town has made in the TOD districts along McCrimmon, just a short walk away from this site. So we think that there is a synergistic effect that these new homes can have on the future success of commercial development along McCrimmon. And again, that's a short walk away where people necessarily don't have to get in their cars in order to go enjoy either park facilities nearby or, again, the future mixed-use development that this town has invested a lot of effort to bring in. The development itself would facilitate, or the rezoning would facilitate a development that is compatible with the types of homes and the types of neighborhoods that we see around us. We are making significant contributions, not only for the Airport Boulevard extension through right-of-way dedication, payments in lieu, but we're also offering to make those off-site roadway improvements along Church Street, which we think will be beneficial to the neighborhood and the community at large. And for those reasons, we think that this rezoning is reasonable and it's in the public interest. We appreciate your time to go through these slides. We'd appreciate any feedback that this council can give us. And again, just very appreciative to be up here. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions of the applicant or staff before we open the public hearing? I'd like to recognize Councilmember Rao, please.
I'm going to hold off on my questions. Yeah, I'm still concerned about residents' concerns about traffic and things like that, but I'm going to kind of let the public hearing play out and come back to that. But my question is from the affordable housing perspective. I mean, given, housing prices, would the applicant be, where they are, open to, 10% to me seems to be a relatively low number. In terms of just, I know it costs a lot of money, but, we're holding ourselves to higher standards in Morrisville that we're doing everything we can to make housing more affordable. So I don't know if there's any way we can, like we've done with other applicants where they've come back with higher percentages of units. Our last rezoning we did, I think it was over a 30-year period, looked at even 60% AMI. So to me, that's going to be really important for any kind of housing that we approve moving forward in Morrisville.
Yes, and I appreciate that. And again, something we can discuss, but again, I would like to kind of point out that the HUD rents and the affordable rents that we're talking about are really apartment rents. For example, a hard cost construction of an apartment is anywhere from $175,000 to $200,000 a unit. And for a single family home like what we're building, it's $225,000 to $275,000. So us offering a rent at 80% of that apartment rent, we're talking average rents of $2,700, and the HUD 3-bedroom, even the 1-bedroom, I think is like $1,800 a month. It's almost a 33% less discount as to what we're offering. So I was going to maybe try to do the math and show what the percentage of what we're actually offering, but that's not official math because no one's done BTR HUD rents. They don't have those yet. So I guess what I would like to offer is that we are exceeding kind of what a typical affordability aspect is, but it's something we'll certainly consider.
Anything else, sir? Councilmember Johnson, please.
So, Elliot, this is really for you right now. I'll have some other questions, but the public's been waiting over an hour, so I'd like to hear from them. But what would be helpful, and I just want to get this out right now, and if it's here and I missed it, let me know. But we've heard a lot about, well, let me back up a minute. Currently, by right, the applicant can build single-family units. He can build this product, and he could build it with 135 units. So what they're asking for is the ability to build 156 units versus 135. So in this process now, if they want to go higher and build the 156 units versus the 135, they seem to be offering a lot. They're offering conditions, and you kind of pointed out some of them. They're also offering, I think, or maybe they always offer sustainability in their units and their products. What would help me is to understand what conditions are because of this request to build additional units. What specifically, and if you could kind of highlight them or put them on a chart or something so I'm clear on which of these conditions are because of the request for this rezoning for the additional units. Am I clear, or is that somewhere and I missed it?
So just to clarify,
Yeah.
you're asking what conditions go above what would normally be required for that 135
Correct.
unit development? Okay, sure.
Correct. Because they currently can come out there and build. They have the right. They have the right to build this development. They have the right to do what they want to do at 135 units, but they're asking for more. And so in this process of asking for more units, they're also offering up a lot. And I want to be clear on what they're offering that goes above and beyond what they could build by right yesterday.
Sure. Yeah, I can put a chart together.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have right now. I'll have plenty more questions later, but thank you, Elliot.
Councilmember Rabadi, please.
Yeah, that was a lot of information right there. So I just need to understand that the 135 units that would currently be allowed, is that based on the amount of acreage that's there that does not include the Airport Boulevard right-of-way, or is it based on the entire acreage that the applicant owns?
Yeah, that's subtracting the almost 5 acres for the right-of-way. Yeah. So that's 30 acres that remains.
Okay, so, and how did the right-of-way come about? How did because you're donating the 5 acres, right, for the right-of-way?
Correct. It would be dedication.
So how did that come about that we needed that 5 acres? Are you legally required to provide that, or do we like what's the situation around this 5 acres that you're not going to build on but are going to donate to the town?
Can everybody hear me?
I
Is it
can't hear
pretty
you.
low? Is that better?
That's way better.
Sure. Caleb Allred, I'm the transportation planner for the town. So the comprehensive transportation plan outlines all of the roads and future roads in town, Airport Boulevard extension and flyover being one of those future roads. So as you all know, when a developer comes in with a rezoning or a new development of any kind, they're required to dedicate their portion of the right-of-way that is within their property, as well as pay a payment in lieu or construct those road improvements. So in this case, for the developer, they are dedicating the right-of-way for that future flyover. In this case, NCDOT has 2 alternatives, so they're dedicating all the right-of-way on their property that will cover both of those alternatives. In addition to that, they're going to be paying a payment in lieu of construction, at-grade construction of that, of those improvements for the alternative that is most aligned in their property. So the alignment that is shifted within their property the most.
Okay, so am I correct in my understanding of the project? They're asking for 21 additional units over what they would be able to build. That's 21 units that would ordinarily be going in the 5 acres, but it can't because we need the 5 acres for a right-of-way. Is that
I can
pretty
answer
close
the
to
portion of the
situation?
right of way, but I'll
Yeah,
leave
you
Elliot to the other portion.
Yeah, that's correct. So, yeah, the increase in density is subtracting out that 5 acres of right of way. So if they were not dedicating that, then obviously the 4.5 would allow for more units just by right. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And just one last question. You flash a slide here with rents on it, and the rents seem to be in line with, what I would expect people in Morrisville to pay. They're high, but we are where we are. But your construction costs over the next few years, what would be the timeline for this project? Like, when would you break ground? When would you rent the first units?
Assuming approval, we would be, I was looking at today, we would be basically delivering units fourth quarter of 27, first quarter of 28, roughly. That assumes zoning approval, 6-7 months of site plan construction documents, maybe longer, but that's a general timeline.
Okay, so I would like, you don't have to provide this tonight, but I would like some information on what you've done to mitigate in advance what I consider to be construction costs that are about to. So, because these units at this rent it's a product that Morrisville does need, but if the units are going to come in and once you build them, they're going to be $3,500 a month, then that's not a product we need. We have that. Mm-hmm. So I would just like to know what your mitigation strategy is for construction costs that may rise significantly. That's all I have. Thank you.
I just had one quick question for Mr. Allred about, you mentioned that the payment in lieu is for at grade. Is that about where the bridge is starting to
Correct.
rise?
So that's a great question. At grade meaning, they would not be required to construct they can't construct over the railroad track. We can't require them to do that. And so if they were to construct, they wouldn't construct the incline to the bridge. We would have them construct it straight. And so the payment in lieu is in lieu of whatever we would have required them to construct. And because we can't require them to construct off-site, it has to be at grade. So that means that it's instead of an incline, it's just straight. And that is the payment in lieu that has been paid for, or that will be paid for.
Is the incline above their property, though?
It would be on their property, but that incline would be, if it would only come about if the bridge itself were constructed, which is the reason for the payment in lieu in the first place, right? Because the full bridge can't be constructed at this time.
Yeah, we do that all the time. But
sure.
Why can we not collect for the incline cost as well? Because it's payment in lieu. We're not asking them to build it. We're asking them to pay for it.
Sure. That's an excellent question. My understanding is that was a determination by the planning director. Planning Director Stiegel is coming up here right now.
She is. I mean, if they don't pay for it, do we? I guess is the crux.
Yeah, this discussion goes back to 2022 when the original submission was made. I might be misquoting this number, so I leave it with that caveat, but I believe construction of the bridge, you were looking at something about $13 million. So that led to a conversation with the town attorney a couple years ago in terms of the cost of that relative to the development. And it was agreed that for the payment in lieu, we would look at what construction at grade would be and use that in lieu of the construction cost for an overpass. And I don't know, Frank, if you remember that's going back to about 2022. But again, looking at that total cost relative to the project and trying to get ahead of some potential issues there. So that was the decision that was made at the time. That leaves you with about $1 million payment in lieu. This is a project that would ultimately be an NCDOT project. So town contribution would go towards betterment. In this case, it could be landscaping, lighting, bridge aesthetics, but this is a project that will not occur without NCDOT funding. It's a very expensive project.
So I'm not expecting them to pay $13 million because that's not on their property, but I would like the opportunity to potentially revisit the payment in lieu to their property line at whatever height, because those are taxpayer dollars, whether it's paid by NCDOT or our residents directly. I think that the developer can pony up for that because that's how we do it. So that's just something to revisit, perhaps.
Yeah, and we could provide you, or we could provide council with some additional information on that, so you have some additional background.
Okay, thank you. Did anyone else have any other questions for staff or the applicant before we open the public hearing? Okay, seeing none of those, you guys can go ahead and take your seats. We might ask you to come on back after the public hearing if you have further questions. I now declare the public hearing to be open. I'd ask the interim town clerk if we have anyone signed up for public hearing comments.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, we do have 4 individuals signed up for public hearing. We also have several emailed comments. The individuals in-house that we have signed up for public hearing are Linda Lyons, Randy Marshburn, Spencer Merrick, I believe, and James Hinton. If you all want to line up in the order that your names were called here at the microphone, then you can give your comments in that order.
Okay, and similar to earlier,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just saw it sign up.
Okay, sorry.
and once again, similar to the public address, for public hearing, you'll have 3 minutes to speak on this subject. We generally have people speak once, and we're looking to continue this. Oh, actually, we're continuing this one. So if you speak tonight, do not expect to be able to speak at our next one. So please,
send an email though, right?
you can also send an email at this time. So if you could please just state your name and your address again for the record, we'd appreciate it.
Linda Lyons, 1005 Church Street, Morrisville. I'm writing to express my concern about the proposed rezoning of land currently designated as low density to medium density. As a resident of this community and someone who is invested in a long-term health and liability of our area, I believe this change will have significant negative impact for our neighborhood, particularly on Church Street. As it stands, the intersection of Church Street and McCrimmon is already at capacity. Traffic congestion is a growing issue, and any increase in density along this corridor would undoubtedly increase these problems, making it even more difficult for residents to navigate safely and efficiently. Furthermore, we must consider that during events at the community parks, town events, and school activities, the volume of traffic already strain on our road and infrastructure. These events draw large crowds and impact on traffic flow is substantial, often causing delay and congestion and nowhere to park. The current low-density zoning has allowed our community to maintain a balanced and manageable environment. Changing the zoning to allow for medium-density development would result in more vehicles, more noise, and a decreased quality of life for people who live and work here. The area infrastructure is simply not equipped to handle a sudden increase in population density, especially at critical ports like the Church Street McCrimmon intersection, where congestion is already a concern. I urge the council to consider the long-term impact of the decision on our community and the residents who call this area home. The low-density zoning is essential to maintaining the character and substantial of our neighborhood. I respectfully request that you vote against the proposal to change the zoning designation and allow the area to remain as it is. And I also think that probably, I know we had a traffic study in 2022, and I think it would probably be to our advantage to have another one. And I did see his homes and the look of the homes, but I'm also concerned about the quality of the home. and the look of the home in our area. Thank you.
Thank you. You'll have 3 minutes, sir.
Yes, sir. How y'all doing today? My name is Randy Marshman. I live at 704 Church Street. My property joins Iron Mountain where they are going to build this. And I have, as a farm, I have livestock, and my concerns are the water that runs, there's a creek runs through their property, runs through our property. And it's already enough water runs through it that it's damaging or washing out the creek and stuff down there. And I'm more concerned it's going to dump more water on us. They need some sort of retaining pond or something other to slow it down when you have hard rain. And I've also got the same concerns with the traffic, because at certain times of the day, I don't even try to go up to McCrimmon's because you can't get through there. And then the other main concern I got is that, like I said, I got livestock on my property. My property joins their property there. And all these housing developments, it needs some sort of a barrier up there. It needs more than a few bushes and trees where kids can slip through it, and the dogs and stuff can get out there and chase the cows and stuff like that, and kids throwing that. It needs some sort of barrier they can't get through or see over or something other there, you know. That's my main concerns there.
Thank you, sir. And the third person's waving there because they're the applicant. Was there anyone else in this room who'd like to speak on this public hearing item who didn't sign up at this time? Sir? Yep.
Was James Hinton here?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you, sir.
I'm sorry. You're waving. Waving tonight means you will be able to go next time if you wish. Okay? So let's just make a note of that.
Hi, my name is Harrison Kessling, and I live at 402 Mannington Drive. So the developer mentioned de-emphasizing car use, but for residents to access commercial goods and services in this development, they would have to drive. I've mentioned before about Town Center Commercial being across the train tracks and across Morrisville Carpenter Road. Adding density in this area would certainly contribute to more traffic in Morrisville. I would personally rather see this as a pedestrian-oriented commercial development. Proximity to work and commercial de-emphasizes car use more than neighborhoods with sidewalk. And a pedestrian-oriented commercial development in this area would allow residents in the town center district to be able to walk and bike. Additionally, it is a halfway between the TOD and the town center. So a person who wanted to travel from the TOD down to the town center, if this was a pedestrian-oriented development, would be able to have a respite if they were walking. So I envision this Church Street as a pedestrian corridor to get to allow pedestrian flow from north to south. I think that's pretty much it, but I also wanted to ask the developer to ensure that the evergreen trees that were mentioned are native to the southeastern United States. And that is my comment.
Thank you. Was there anyone else? Okay. We're planning to leave this one open until the April 22nd meeting. Did you have
So
something
we
to
do
add?
have a number of emailed comments
Okay.
to read through.
Okay. And are we setting the timer for 3 minutes for each one of those?
Yes, sir, I'm happy to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. First comment is from Angelina Sciano, 1252 Grinshaw Drive, Morrisville. Says, I am a homeowner and resident in a townhome development off Church Street. I am overall in support of updating the zoning along Church Street, but have some serious concerns about traffic impacts. I absolutely love the hamlet-style community design and the emphasis on walkability, community, and green space. A unique development like this within walking distance to future McCrimmon and Town Center projects feels like a big asset for Morrisville. I am also a big fan of the inclusion of affordable housing units and the overall focus on housing attainability. In short, I would really like to see this project move forward. However, I'm also concerned about the impact on traffic in the area, especially at the intersection of McCrimmon and Church Street, which is already a nightmare. Because both access points of this development exit to Church Street, I'd imagine this would add a significant amount of traffic strain to that intersection. Honestly, I think that even housing conforming to the current low-density standards would worsen the existing traffic problems. Is there any way this can be addressed in the development plans? Maybe some of the funding designated for the Airport Boulevard extension or the dog park pay in lieu could be used to remedy the traffic situation instead. If this development could fix the Church McCrimmon traffic nightmare and create more attainable housing, that would be a win-win for the town. The next comment is from Mark Dixon, 1413 Everett Fields Road in Morrisville. And he writes, on the topic of the rezoning request to the area along Church Street south of McCrimmon, please deny this request. You have all heard that the town residents are not enthusiastic about adding more and more high-density housing. The PZB advised through a vote to deny this request. Please take this advice seriously. In addition, the TOD West has already proposed up to 2,000 units on the southeast side of McCrimmon and Church. We do not need more high density on top of that. Also, what has the MP Act said about this request? This will bring more school-age students. Where will they go to school? Please listen to your town people who are trying to communicate with you and deny this request. And so, yes. Sorry. This comment is from Sylvester Harrington, 802 Church Street, Morrisville. I am not in favor of this proposal because of traffic congestion and safety concerns. I like to think proactively about the probable dangerous consequences that can happen with this project. Thank you, Sylvester Harrington. And then we had one additional comment from Peter Norwood, but it did not provide the required information, so it's considered an incomplete submission. So we will just let you know that the comments were opposed to this item. And that is all of the emailed comments that we have for this public hearing.
Okay. The public hearing will be once again starting at our meeting on the 22nd at 6 p.m. And if they want to submit public hearing comments by email, what's the timing for that? Can they do that now until then, or?
So with your updated town council rules of procedure, you'll have to let me go back and verify what we have updated that to, because I just don't remember off the top of my head. Town Manager Zudema might.
So that could be submitted once we post our first agenda. Our practice now is to post that draft agenda this Friday to give the community members an opportunity to see what's on the agenda. That won't be the detailed packet, but it will host the topics. So once that's posted on Friday, we would then accept public hearing comment.
And to what email address, sir?
Right now to publichearing@morrisvillenc.gov.
Okay, thank you very much. Just want to make that very public for the record. Okay, excellent. Thank you very much for getting all that information to us. At this time, we'd entertain more discussion or questions for applicant or staff before we're expected to vote next meeting. I'll recognize Councilmember Fender, please.
Yeah, so I had a question for the developer. And it's, why Morrisville? Why are you planning this development here as opposed to Fuquay, Holly Springs, Apex?
Why Morrisville?
Yep.
Morrisville's seen a lot of growth over the years. Demographics here are really strong. And just candidly, we're looking all over the triangle. We're active in all the communities you mentioned, trying to do projects, trying to provide attainable housing in all those communities as well. So, Morrisville is very attractive for all the reasons that everyone sitting in this room. It's a great place to live. It's a lot of great parks and which we're going to be contributing to, and so it's a market that we're really excited about being in and providing a different kind of housing stock.
And are your other developments, are they all rentals as well?
Correct.
Okay. I guess my concern is that I think it's pretty significant that the Planning and Zoning Board voted in the majority to deny this rezoning. That's never happened since I've been on the council. And I think we need to take that seriously. And, you're also developing in an area where the last 3 developments along Church Street were opposed because of the townhomes. And nothing has changed with that road since then. And then here we are getting ready, looking at building more homes. It wasn't that, I'd like to remind the rest of the town council, it wasn't all that long ago that we did that land zone plan. And we kept this area low density for a reason, because we're going to get apartments in the town center area, in the TOD, and along the McCrimmon extension. Like Mark Dixon pointed out. And yet, every time a developer comes to us for conditional rezoning, where we actually have a opportunity to slow it down, we always end up approving it. As the council for the past 6 years, we have approved every single frickin' development here. What's the point? Y'all come to Morrisville because I feel like developers just dump their crappy developments on our town. Build more and more apartments like we just approved a couple months ago, and where the mayor and I were the only 2 that voted against, and yet we don't seem to have the courage to stand up to these developers. And I really I just would like to remind all of us that we did this does not, he made a statement saying this conform to the land use plan. Well, it doesn't. It's low density, and we put it there for a reason. We have designated areas where it will be higher density and apartments, and developers can build apartments there by right. This is one area where we actually have some say, and I'd like to keep it that way. That's all I got.
Okay. I don't see any other comments at this time. I'll just add that I appreciate the developer and the applicant bringing this forward, but I don't see anything in this that would make me want to change the zoning, which we did approve as a group. But we'll have further discussion, and we'll see you back in 2 weeks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, we can be scheduled for a break because we have another public hearing item after this. So we'll take a 15-minute break and then come back for our second public hearing item. So please reconvene at 7:52. Next, we invite Brittany Johnson, Planning Manager, forward to brief Town Council on the proposed UDO text amendments for Business Activity Center and Industrial Management Zoning Districts. After the close of this evening's public hearing, Town Council is scheduled to act on this item at the April 22nd meeting. So unlike the last one, we're planning on closing this one tonight unless there's the will of the council to leave it open. Ms. Johnson.
Brittany Johnson, Planning Manager. Good evening, Mayor and Council. It is my pleasure to bring before you proposed text amendments related to the Business Activity Center and Industrial Management Zoning Districts. A little history on this item. So the 2021 Land Use Plan update, there was a sub-area plan that was adopted for the McCrimmon corridor. The vision featured horizontally mixed office and multifamily, attractive facades oriented towards McCrimmon, and parking oriented to the side and rear of buildings to minimize the visual impact. Lastly, service and retail were situated near Wake Competition Center. Additional history, so prior to these UDO amendments, the last prior UDO amendments, the property was rezoned from industrial management to BAC. The Gateway Overlay District, which has its own unique standards, was adopted, and those standards included separation between multifamily developments, requiring buildings to front streets with parking to the side and rear, ground floor commercial was required, and 150% tree preservation and tree side yard and street yard buffer plantings as well. So a little on the presentation overview. The proposed text amendments are intended to provide additional flexibility to the BAC zoning district through the addition of light manufacturing as a permitted use. This change is desired to further innovation and economic development. The proposed text amendments also introduce data center as a new use by special use permit only. A little on background. So on January 7th, our first stakeholder engagement meeting was held. Property owners, developers, and Wake County Economic Development attended. Staff provided a brief history of the BAC zoning district, and stakeholders provided feedback concerning market evolution. During the January 26th Town Council retreat, staff provided an economic development update and an overview of the proposed changes to the BAC zoning district. Council also provided feedback concerning the proposed changes. On February 18th, our second stakeholder engagement meeting was held. Again, property owners, developers, and Wake County Economic Development attended. Staff provided an overview of the proposed text amendments and received feedback concerning the proposed text amendments. On March 13th, the Planning and Zoning Board reviewed the proposed text amendments, and the amendments received unanimous recommendation of approval. Now to our proposed UDO amendments. The first proposed change would to be alter table 4.2.4 to add light manufacturing as a permitted use in the BAC zoning district. Currently, it's only allowed in the industrial management zoning district. With this change, we are also proposing use-specific standards and proposing to alter the definition of the proposed use. I will cover this in the next two slides. So for our proposed use-specific standards, first, the light manufacturing. This would only be for light manufacturing and within the uses for the BAC zoning district and are applicable to only applications submitted after May 1st, 2025. So first, number one, all light manufacturing uses in BAC are prohibited from fronting on major and minor thoroughfares as identified in the Comprehensive Transportation Plan. Unless in compliance with subsection A below. Subsection A, if any light manufacturing use fronts on a major or minor thoroughfare, all architectural standards shall apply. Number two, outdoor storage is prohibited. Number three, to the maximum extent practical, structures should be oriented with loading and service courtyards to not be visible from residential developments or from existing planned or future right-of-way. Number four, if deemed necessary by the planning director, applications for a building permit shall include written clarification certification by an engineer or architect qualified in the field of acoustic testing and engineering to that noise generated inside the structure by the proposed use will be contained within the structure. 5, a roof, well, or parapet wall will be required to screen all roof-mounted equipment as not to be visible from the immediate ground level and the ground level of adjacent properties. And lastly, number 6, shared buffers are prohibited between industrial and residential uses. In conjunction with these use-specific standards, the proposed amendment would also amend Section 11.5, terms and uses defined, to alter the definition of light manufacturing. So with this definition, the definition contains 4 different sections. It's 1, the parameters. This section really does state what the use includes. The second section would be impacts, that identifies the impacts that we want to mitigate with these uses. Third would be examples, listed uses that meet this definition. And fourth would be any sort of restrictions. So this is what the use does not encompass. So in the perimeter section of this definition, we are now including innovative technology to improve existing products and to create new products. In the impact section, no changes have been proposed. We are still proposing that we are confining noise, odor, smoke, heat, glare, and vibration to be contained completely inside the building. And as for examples, more up-to-date and technical uses were added. So the uses involving computer tech, robotics, or other innovative products and processes, as well as medical devices were added. Lastly are our restrictions. This section of the definition was edited to prohibit data centers, which is a proposed use with these text amendments, outdoor storage, and also clarify that these uses will conform with all local, state, and federal environmental regulations concerning toxic runoff. So shifting gears here to our data center use. So data centers are previously not identified as a use within the principal use table. These text amendments amend to introduce data centers as a use by special use permit only in the BAC zoning district, as well as in industrial management. With this change, we are also proposing a definition for this use, which I will cover in the upcoming slides. So as I explained, data center would be allowed by special use permit only, pending the approval of a special use permit. So special use permits, again, are that vehicle that we use for reviews that are on a case-by-case basis. A use designed or designated by special use is in a particular zoning district that it may be appropriate for the district, but because of its nature, extent, and external factors, it requires special consideration for its location, design, and methods of operation before it can be deemed appropriate for the district or compatible with its surroundings. So with that, there are 7 special use permit standards. When researching data centers, as it relates to data centers, we realized that with this use, they sometimes have impacts on utilities. Therefore, special use permit standard 6 will help to mitigate these concerns with any application as reviewed in the future. Standard 6 simply says that the proposed development will not generate needs for transportation, water supply, sewage disposal, fire, and police protection, and similar public services that cannot be adequately handled by the available infrastructure and facilities. With the addition of data centers as a new use, therefore, we have to have a parking standard that must be established with this as well. As with other unique uses within UDO, as an application comes in, the planning director can authorize to apply a standard that is most similar to another use, or that we can establish a parking minimum by the National Parking Association, the American Planning Association, or provide a parking study that is provided by IT or the Institute of Traffic Engineers, and that can be submitted by the applicant on a case-by-case basis. So terms and uses defined. Our definition of data center simply reads a building that houses a group of network server computers in one physical location to centralize the storage, management, and dissemination of data and information pertaining to a particular business or body of knowledge. A data center facility typically includes mechanical, electrical services, redundant or backup power supplies, redundant data communication connections, environmental controls, cooling units, fire suppression systems, and enhanced security features. For your staff recommendations, staff does recommend approval for the proposed text amendments. This will expand the scope of our life science support, also enhance our competitiveness in targeted industries, position us to capture emerging industry opportunities, support a holistic and economic development strategy, and ensure infrastructure alignment. As a reminder, the Planning and Zoning Board did recommend approval of the proposed text amendments by a vote of 5-0. Here are this is your ordinance language. Again, for tonight, you are hosting your public hearing on this item. Action is scheduled for April 22nd. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Recognize Councilmember Rabadi, and then I have a question.
Why weren't the data centers an approved use in the first place? Is it the power draw?
Yeah, after doing additional research on data centers, it's not a new use, but new to a lot of communities. And so special use permit is the best way to kind of tread lightly, make sure that if they have a considerable impact on utilities, that on a case-by-case basis, we can evaluate that.
But don't we evaluate that on a case-by-case basis anyway?
But it gives us a little bit more control and latitude with that.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think data centers, frankly, are ideal neighbors. But okay, thank you.
I have a question or two, and then Mayor Pro Tem Garamella. Seems like special use permit, that's quasi-judicial hearings, correct? Which seems to actually give us less latitude to deal with things like that, because experts generally seem to tend to support developers' asks. So my question would be under number 4 about harmony with the environment and the area. Would an expert tell people that a data center that looks like a big concrete box is disharmonious? I think I personally, and I think this council in the past has said we don't want something like that. So a data center that looks like that would be a problem. And I want to make sure that we're not setting us up to actually have to accept those through a special use permit. If we were talking about form-based code in the past, I mean, if a data center looks like an office building with commercial in it with lots of glass, I'm okay with that. I just don't want it to look like a big box. So I'd ask staff how we could address that concern of mine.
Yes, a special use permit process would not allow the applicant to circumvent any sort of architectural requirements. So that wouldn't be as much of a concern as far as architecturally making sure it's harmonious. When it's more so looking at if it's a harmonious nature, is if there are any impacts on the area, increased traffic, things of that nature, that would make it unharmonious. But architectural standards would not apply.
Okay, so generally you have architectural standards that stop that from happening. A
Yes.
big box. It
Yes.
looks like a concrete box.
Yes,
Okay.
there are fenestration requirements within the UDO in section 5.9.
Okay, that's helpful for me for now. Mayor Pro Tem Garamella, followed by Councilmember Rao, please.
No, actually, I agree that a special use permit is good in many ways because it's by right. They can do it. They don't need to come for us. So this is the only way, at least we know that they're doing it and it's done correctly, versus like by right they can build it. But my one concern I have is it going to be a whole building or is it going to be a subset of the building? Because the definition that you said is the building is the whole for one purpose, or I just want to know, because if you're like say for Pathway, it has like 400,000 square feet. So are they taking 100 as one as a data center or the whole 400 as one? Because the power implications are different, and so I don't know if you didn't go into that detail there. It just said a building there.
That's something we can look at further. But when looking at the use, we would be looking at whether that be a tenant within an overall building or that would be the entire building. It would require a special use permit for that use.
Okay, that's good point. And then the other one is if you go back where it talked about. Can you go up the slides? It's not. Keep going. it talked about hazards, like something public safety. Yeah. The proposal will not generate the needs of transportation. So I would also like to put biohazard or something that at least it is, we want to ensure within that box it is done safely. So this is only giving us a proof of sewage, fire, and police. But what about any other things that can cause public damage?
Special use permit standard number one, the proposed development will not materially endanger the public health or safety. So with that condition there as well, I think that will help mitigate some of that concern.
Yeah, this is only for data center, right?
This is for special use permit standards for any use that requires a special use
Yes,
permit.
but for the rest, like where we are changing it to industrial, light industrial, we don't have this rule.
No, this is only for data centers.
Exactly. So I want to ensure that this rule is applicable, Rule 6, more enhanced in the other one too, because it's a standard document that the idea is to not generate any of issues, So that way we are safe, and it, especially from public health point of view and safety.
Okay, when you say public health and safety, so that I can better prepare for, to provide additional information, with that, so I know that coming out of the council retreat, council had concerns about toxic runoff, and so we did add that to the overall definition of the proposed use of light manufacturing. Is there something beyond that that you would like for staff to address?
Yes, I think I'll talk to Michelle, and say more, but I don't want to talk. And because the kind of materials that is used inside, I'll go that much. It is, if it is radioactive, if it is something else, and our fire and hazmat does not know how to handle it. So we need those indications way before.
Understood.
Okay. That's all. Good job. And thanks to Sarah there and the Tri Properties. I think this is an excellent collaboration of you guys coming to us, and we are happy to do this because we want more businesses coming into Morrisville. Thank you all.
Councilmember Rao.
The only, excuse me, I've been reading up a little bit more on the issue of data centers, and one of the concerns I have, and maybe it's already included in this between the lines, is energy efficiency and sustainability requirements. I mean, I'm actually just finished a book that said that on a typical day, it's normal to have about 100,000 ChatGPT searches, which actually consumes about enough electricity to power 30,000 homes. And we already had in Morrisville, just 2 years ago, we went from 100 megawatt to 125 megawatt, just largely because of pharma and life sciences. So I just think it's really important for any data center that's coming in to invest in Morrisville or any Wake County town, that they have answers of how they're going to bring power. And it's not, the thing that's concerning is that, I mean, Duke Energy had laid out a plan, their 30-year plan of, other sources of energy, solar, nuclear, wind. And the Utilities Commission would also weigh in on this. So I just don't know how we add that to the standard, because what I don't want is some applicant coming in, meeting these standards, but not addressing the energy efficiency, and then, or is that outside of our control? Is that why we're not bringing in from the energy? I'm just curious. I just want to know.
No, they have to first go to Duke even to get it here. If Duke says no, it's
so they have to
like
go through that
Forge
first.
Nano. They were not able to get that, so they had to get that before even they get to the industry.
Yeah, because it's going to require a lot more than it used to. Okay, I just want to weigh that concern in.
Any other questions before we open the public hearing? Okay, I declare the public hearing open. Interim Town Clerk, do we have anyone signed up for public hearing comments?
We do. We have one person signed up, Andrew Castraberti. Apologize if I didn't say that.
You will have 3 minutes, sir. Your name and your residential address for the record,
Sure.
please.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Town Council, Andrew Castaberti from King Street Properties, representing our project at Pathway Triangle located on Crimson Parkway. I want to start by thanking staff and the council for being receptive to expanding the allowed uses in the Business Activity Center District. Since we started the first phase of our project a couple years ago, we've seen a steady and continued increase in inquiries from advanced manufacturing type tenants. And we're hopeful that our project in Morrisville as a whole can capture these potential users who bring high quality jobs, high paying jobs, and innovative technologies, which will in turn help boost the commercial tax base and help to bolster Morrisville's reputation as a hub for innovation. We're fully supportive of the proposed text amendment that planning staff has put forward and appreciate all of the work that Brittany and other staff in this room have put forward to making it happen. We do have one concern related to the proposed change to the rooftop mechanical screening standards, item 5 in the use-specific standards. We've had conversations with planning staff about this concern, but would like to convey those concerns to you all so you can evaluate them as you're looking at this change to the text amendment. I've provided a packet prepared by Integrated Design, the project architect for Pathway Triangle, that illustrates and details our concerns with the use of parapets or roof wells in lieu of mechanical screens, which are currently allowed by right in the BAC and elsewhere in Morrisville. And before I quickly walk through the package, it's just important to note that these buildings are built speculatively before any tenants are identified. So we don't know what the exact mechanical systems will be at the time of design and construction. So it's impossible for us to know exactly how tall a parapet or how deep a well would be, for example, given that we don't have tenants on board. So I'll just jump into the packet, recognizing the time here. So do you all have this packet in front of you? Great.
We do. Do you have a soft copy that we could, so the audience can see and the
not
people
sure.
watching, or not? Did you send it to our staff?
I did. I'm not sure if it's possible.
Is that possible or not so much?
Well, we already did.
I don't
Yeah,
have
we'll
the
give him a little grace
Okay.
so that everyone can see what he's talking to.
Unfortunately, we don't have that for projection.
Okay, and just a point of order, is this, are you the applicant? No, no, there's no applicant here.
No
Okay,
applicant.
so
Speaking
you're doing it
generally
right.
in support with comments on what's being
Okay,
proposed.
understood. Go ahead.
I'll try to make it quick, but probably can't do it in 30 seconds. So the first item is just lines of sight. So depending upon the height of the building, in our case, our building's 46 feet. Centrally located rooftop mechanical equipment and screening are often not visible from the ground. If you introduce an elevated parapet, obviously that is going to be visible from the ground plane, regardless of where you're standing. Flipping to the next page, which has a graphic of one of our existing buildings at 1000 Science Drive at Pathway Triangle, without the parapet as it exists today. And we've just rendered in the bottom image an elevated parapet, which would be presumably necessary to screen the mechanicals. And just some things to consider. Obviously, first and foremost, it becomes quite a large monolith at the top of the building. It's sort of a negative pedestrian experience because it makes a 46-foot tall building even taller, which can feel a bit overbearing if you're a pedestrian walking by. Additionally, there's the environmental impacts of the additional materials required to create that elevated parapet, additional concrete, steel to support it. Obviously, the life cycle impacts, carbon footprint impacts of that additional material should be considered. I'll flip to page 3, the acoustics. So generally speaking, rooftop screens are well suited for buffering acoustics from adjacent properties. Obviously, a parapet sits further away generally from mechanical equipment, making it less effective from an acoustic buffering standpoint. And then lastly, on the roof wells, so the biggest value in the buildings that we build for biomanufacturing, advanced manufacturing use is the clear height. That's what we hear as being the most important thing. So as this graphic depicts, creating a roof well would significantly impact the amount of clear height available in the building, making it much less valuable. Also, creating a bathtub in the center of a manufacturing building that has critical manufacturing activities taking place below it is just not a good idea. So for those reasons, we ask council and staff to reconsider and consider allowing for a roof screens to be allowed. It's also just worth noting that we did some research and found that Durham, Raleigh, Cary, and Apex all allow screens as it currently exists. So just as a point of reference for neighboring municipalities, and as I wrap up, the PDF comes up. So thank you all.
Thank you. Was there anyone else signed up for public hearing on this item? Okay. Would we like to? Oh, yes, sir.
I'd like to speak as well if I could. My
Yes,
name
please.
is Tyson Strutzenberg with Trinity Capital Advisors. Thank you very much for having us tonight and for hearing this text amendment change to Mayor Colley and the Town Council. We really appreciate the collaboration. I'd just like to start by saying it's been a pleasure to just collaborate with the town management leadership, the planning staff, your economic development leader, and I think that from our standpoint, I won't speak for King Street, but this process of developing along McCrimmon and making the substantial investment to create the type of jobs that we believe are coming here and will be in full force here as we fill up these buildings, will benefit greatly from having this ability to expand the uses. Like Andrew mentioned, a lot of the users that we've seen in the past 18 to 24 months have been ancillary to the allowed uses that were originally created 2.5, 3 years ago when the BAC was envisioned. I think they will be high-paying jobs. They will be in new industries that we haven't even sometimes imagined yet, and we think that this text amendment will really allow us to capture those jobs going forward. So I think the last comment I'd make is just in support of what Andrew mentioned on the screening. These buildings are big. I know you guys drive by them probably often. Our buildings are 160,000 square feet and 210,000 square feet respectively. I think the buildings across the street are similar size range. From the ground plane, it's hard to see the center of the buildings, and a lot of the mechanical equipment will likely be located in the center of these buildings. It's not efficient oftentimes to locate it at the edge anyway. So screening as it's currently prescribed, even outside of what's in the text amendment today, I think will be really adequate, more than typical, and will accomplish the goals of the town and the tenant, right? They want their equipment to be screened as well. So thank you again. We really appreciate the collaboration. And if you have more questions, we'd love to follow up. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room who'd like to talk on this subject? Okay. Seeing none, if it's the will of the council, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
A motion from Councilmember Johnson, a second from Mayor Pro Tem Garamella. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously 6-0. I guess I have a follow-up question. The parapet will make it look nicer. Is there a reason that we feel a parapet is more important than screening, or can we make the parapet essentially far enough back that it is the screening? Is there some way to do that to just make it easier all around, or?
So a parapet is an extension of the facade wall, so it would have to be in line with the overall facade by definition. With this, when looking at screening in this particular section with the roof level parapet wall, we really want to mitigate the impacts of roof-mounted equipment, and we would like to be more in a proactive than reactive space with our screening, and that is the motivation behind this standard.
So is the goal to have it just be one facade, or is it to make an attractive screen for the equipment, I guess? Because I guess the screening doesn't look as nice. If we can make it look as nice as a parapet.
Yes, it is an architectural response to a screening issue.
Okay. I guess I'm asking, can we ask them to just do the concrete where the screen is so it still looks nice, rather than
When you
having
s-
just like the screening that isn't as nice that looks like metal?
Yes, so an extension of the parapet wall would architecturally have a better aesthetic than a screen wall. And with this, I think that, it's important to look at the BAC corridor as a whole. We have residential and commercial uses. This is a more intense use than what was previously envisioned for the corridor. And so likely there may be larger roof mounted equipment that will be placed there. And so having that parapet, which is a overall more attractive answer to screening, is what would be proposed.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Johnson.
So, Brittany, it would really help me if I could visualize this. And while this handout is helpful, do we have examples here in town, or can you show us examples of, this parapet wall versus just a screening on a roof? That would help me a lot if I could visualize this. And then, so that's number one. And then number two, so what's the goal here is to make sure that nobody sees the equipment from the street.
That is the goal. And so when looking at a parapet, I'm trying to see what the best example for that would be. So when you're looking at a roof deck, which is the flat portion of the roof, any extension of the wall beyond that roof deck is considered the parapet. That's what it is. And so a screen, unlike a parapet, a screen can be inset beyond that facade so that you can see it further than just having an extension of that vertical wall.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I still would like to see a visual.
Yes,
But okay.
I will have that.
I appreciate that explanation. So I guess what I'm trying to. So by doing this, we're assuming that everything that's up on the roof is going to be seen from the street. That's why we have this. This standard number 5 here on, but I guess I'm trying to figure what if you can't even see. I like screening, number one. So let me just put that out there. Even if it can't be seen from the street, I still think it should be screened. But we're not checking. We're just doing an overall kind of generic. Everybody's got to do this parapet wall, and that's it. Kind of.
Yeah, so condition number 5 is that you would have a roof level parapet to screen. Currently, right now in town versus by the UDO, you can have a screen wall that is equal to or exceeds the height of any roof mounted equipment. With the parapet wall, it would allow us to have that architectural answer for any screening that may take place or need to take place throughout the life cycle of the building. With that, if you notice the second part of that section, it says from the ground level or the ground level adjacent to the property. So in the first image in that document that you have, it shows you that the height of the parapet really will fluctuate depending on, where the roof mounted equipment is located on the roof itself.
Sure.
So if it's located a little further back, then the parapet can be a little lower. I'll also note that when you look at standard number 1, we're asking for any sort of, because these standards are specifically for light manufacturing, we're asking for these light manufacturing uses to be oriented towards inward to the site. So if you are closer to the property line with this use, then likely you will have a larger parapet. But we're already asking that those uses be more interior to the site so that we can mitigate those overall visual impacts for the use anyway. So really it is kind of a compounding and layered effect of these standards.
Okay, thank you. That helps. I still like to see some examples, and then I'll let you know what I think. But thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah, okay. So the parapet wall will differ in height.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So somebody is checking, and then you'll decide how high the wall is. Got it. Okay.
Yes. And I will have visuals for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Garamella.
Yeah, just piggybacking on what Liz is saying, can we have something in terms of we don't need the screening if it is more than the height, and also the square footage. If it is 160,000 feet, means it's almost like a half a football field. So anything from towards the middle will not be visible. So height and the size of the building can determine what it is. Like, for example, the height could be on an apartment, but it is only like 40 feet deep. It will show up, So I want you guys to have your magic, whatever you want to do it. But it kind of makes sense if it is like huge and you can't even look at, by putting it, it may not be best looking, But I understand the purpose of it. But if it is a 2-story, yes, because it is needed from the road. If it is like a 4-story, 100 feet, I don't know how much it is. So it's not. So some kind of that verbiage or language would be good to, where you're not changing the rules, but at least you're setting the standards. And this is for entire corridor, right? So we can't change just this one, which will affect everything, because I want the rules in place and have one more with the conditions of the height. That way, that is only restricted to the big buildings, which could be any big building, in that area. But if it is 1-story or 2-story, they have to fulfill those conditions. Thank you.
I don't see anyone else, but I'm trying to get my mind around the fact that if they have a very large parcel and the building in the middle, they're kind of penalized insofar as people have a different angle. So it's further away, so they have to make a taller parapet, even though they're further away from everybody. But if they're close, they probably won't need much because the adjacent property is so close. So I'm just trying to get to a one-size-fits-all because it's the whole corridor. And the fact that we're trying to encourage people to come in and take this space, which means to me that you don't know what it's going to be up top until they're building it, and they're already pre-building the building. So I think we're asking them essentially to add parapets now, and they're not sure how much they're going to need. But screening is a lot easier. That just sort of goes with the equipment. You just build it to the height of the equipment and you're done, no matter where it is. So I guess my goal would be to make it not visible from the street. So encourage them to put it towards the back, away from the frontage, to minimize whatever it is. And I don't like to go against staff recommendations, but I think the screening is okay. I mean, that's where it is all over the world. I don't think we need these buildings to have extra parapet to avoid the fact that we know that they're manufacturing and people are going to need HVAC and stuff up top. I don't think that's a negative, although I really want this area to be really attractive, and I think we all do. And that's why we have all these other standards. So the buildings look really nice, and I don't think people are going to care if there's some screening on the top. So that's kind of where I'm leaning. I like everything else that we've done, but I'm trying to find a way that we're getting to the goal, which is give them the flexibility to actually have people lease their space with as much certainty as they can. And this introduces uncertainty, and I think that's been part of the problem. Councilmember Fender, please, and then do you have another? Okay.
So I can't remember where I've seen it, but I recall seeing attractive metal, I don't even know if it's metal, screening in some places. So can we just go with that option? I'm just curious, so backing up a little bit, I mean, what factored in your decision to require a parapet versus a metal screening?
Yeah. So screens that are architecturally in character with the overall building are permitted in town. I think that with the McCrimmon corridor, looking at that as a very unique corridor within the town of Morrisville, that it is also a thought to make sure that we have unique standards that will also address that setting. So when looking at some of the sites within McCrimmon that will have these light manufacturing uses, they are directly adjacent to residential developments. And so we are really trying to mitigate those views. And that is the thought, so that staff can be more, like I said, in a more proactive versus reactionary stage of screening. I'll also say that, no UDO amendment is going to address every scenario. But when looking at these campuses, they are being developed in phases. So if this standard, we will likely get information as they develop, well, the typical roof mounted equipment is this high, so a parapet would have to be this high. So some of that knowledge will happen as these phase developments take place. So that was another thought of staff as well.
Okay. Thank you. I think I would be all right with screening as opposed to the parapet, as long as it's attractive and flows with the existing architecture.
So I don't see any other comments or requests for information other than what Councilmember Johnson put forth. So we're planning on voting on this in 2 weeks. Do we need any other information? Councilmember Johnson, and then Mayor Pro Tem.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
okay,
you
so,
first.
Kind of tagging on to what Councilmember Fender said, I think I just Googled it myself. I think there are lots of options for screening. If we could maybe see some options that are more decorative, and I've found some that are more decorative, because I agree, this is all about aesthetics and the neighboring communities, and like I said, I do believe we need to screen this equipment. So if there are some, and even they're not an applicant, but even those that spoke, if they want to share some options too, I'd be open to hearing and seeing some of that. So thank you.
And they can do that via email or
That's
contact
right.
us directly. Mayor Pro Tem, you had something else?
Yeah, it's more about the language regarding biohazard. It is more to do with the language that on the section I talked about, that I want to ensure that there is no hazardous material getting in those areas. So that point too. And I'll talk to Michelle more in detail about it.
Okay, thank you. And from the staff standpoint, I'm hearing a consensus that screening with some options may be something that council is open to. So amending the text amendments to allow screening with architectural standards may be something that would be feasible.
That was from 3 of us, which is half, which is close. The parapets, if an applicant wants, instead of screening, I think that's also okay if we could allow that, right?
Yeah, like another option maybe, potentially. Yeah.
One other thing I'd add, people who live in apartments are just as important as homeowners, but they also have the option to move more quickly. There's not an investment there, because I know that sometimes we talk about people can't just sell their home if they don't like what's next door. So the people in apartments, and that's the residents that we're talking about in this area, not that we're less concerned about what they're seeing, but I think it's a little bit different in that way. So I just wanted to share that too. Okay. So we'll see you again in 2 weeks. And as was mentioned, we'll look forward to having some more of that information. If anyone else wants to chime in on their thoughts, we're always open to that, even though the public hearing is closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we are now at action items. There is one action item on this evening's agenda. And that's the, my red line got weird on that, so let me do that. That's the proposed master sign plan for the Pathway Triangle campus. May Golden, Planner 1, will lead us through that. May?
Good evening, Council. Thank you, Mayor Colley. Again, I bring before you the proposed master sign plan for the Pathway Triangle campus and your action tonight. And here is your ordinance language. Also, additionally, the applicant is here if there's any questions that may arise.
Okay, we received this presentation before. We didn't really have any questions. So unless there's some questions, I'd entertain a motion as shown on the screen there. I'll recognize Councilmember Rao.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-3-0 of the Morrisville Town Council approving a master sign plan for the Pathway Triangle campus located at 1000 Science Drive, 500 Science Drive, 2000 Science Drive, and 1800 Strand Street, MSB-24-0004.
Motion from Councilmember Rao, a second from Mayor Pro Tem Garamella. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries unanimously 6-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Golden. Appreciate it. We have two new items this evening. I will invite Byron Hayes, Chief Financial Officer, forward to brief the Town Council on the FY 2025 Budget Ordinance Amendment for the Municipal Services District Fund. Town Council is scheduled to vote on this item at the April 22nd meeting.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item appropriates fund balance in the MSD fund, in the amount of $200,000 in order to start design and street reconstruction administration for the Gables project. And I'm available here to answer any questions. The amount is of the amendment is $200,000.
Does anyone have any questions on this item? Okay, thank you for bringing that forth.
All right, no problem. We'll bring it back for a vote on April 22nd.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Would we be okay putting that on consent, people, because we don't have any questions or anything? Okay, great. Thank you, sir. Next, we'll invite Bianca McCain, Deputy Town Clerk, forward to brief Town Council on the resolution appointing members to the Morrisville Environmental and Stormwater Committee. Town Council is scheduled to vote on this item at the April 22nd meeting. Okay. Should we do comments and circle back to that, sir?
What?
She's indisposed for a moment.
I think that's fine.
Okay. Future meetings, events, and resident involvement opportunities. For a full listing of our events, please see the town calendar at www.morrisvillenc.gov. At this time, we'll do council and manager comments. First on comments will be Mayor Pro Tem Garamella, and followed by Councilmember Johnson. Councilmember Johnson, followed by myself.
No comments.
It'll be me, followed by Councilmember Rabati. I do have some comments. We had a soft opening for Nordstrom Rack at Park West Village today. I saw another council member there. Please join this upcoming Thursday, April 10th, starting at 8 a.m. for the true grand opening. There will be raffles, giveaways, and more. So thankful they have chosen Morrisville for their newest location. Congratulations to Zakia Kenny, a local dance instructor who had her first major production this past weekend and has helped so many staff and electeds from Morrisville, Cary, and Apex look a lot better than we actually are dancing on stage at the Hum Sub Diwali. Congratulations as well to our new governor and former state senator who used to represent Morrisville and actually swore me in right here 12 years ago, Governor Josh Stein, a great advocate for all of North Carolina with an intimate knowledge of Morrisville and our challenges and opportunities. And also, please join us across the street for our pinwheel ceremony on 10 a.m. With the police department on Thursday, April 17th. At this time, it's Councilmember Rabati, followed by Councilmember Fender.
No comments.
Councilmember Fender, followed by Councilmember Rao.
No comment.
Me and Steve. Councilmember Rao, what do you got for us?
You only got 8 more months of comments from me, so. Well, first of all, I was really proud of the Nepalese community. I want to thank them for everything they do. I want to congratulate Vinny Gold from A1 Consulting, a Morrisville resident, for winning the HUD Business of the Year. And he was presented by Secretary of Administration Gabe Esparza. And it's been really great attending a lot of these holy and Ramadan events. And I was at a Seder event at Temple Bethor. It was just great to see all these celebrations. And the final thing is this week is RDU Startup Week. So if you're listening and you're a startup or you're an entrepreneur, you can go to the Raleigh-Durham Startup Week. I'm working on an event to bring Secretary of State Lynn Marshall here to Apex on April 29th at Apex Town Hall, where she's going to talk about small businesses and things like that. So that's all I have for now. I'll send information out.
Okay. Excellent. Councilmember Scroggins-Johnson is not here. Now I'll pass it to Town Manager Zudema in case he has anything from staff.
No comments, sir.
Okay. We're going to circle back. Now we're going to invite Bianca McCain, Deputy Town Clerk, forward to brief Town Council on the resolution appointing members to the Morrisville Environmental and Stormwater Committee. Town Council is scheduled to vote on this item at the April 22nd meeting. Ms. McCain.
Good evening, Mayor. Allow me 1 second to pass these out to you. I'm going to ask for help here. And Council, good evening. Yes, both. Version 1, version 2.
So we like options, so walk us through it.
Yes, of course. I'm here to brief you on the recently completed off-cycle recruitment process for the Morrisville Environment and Stormwater Committee, or MESC, as you know. The recruitment timeline and process for the off-cycle recruitment officially began February 17th, 2025 this year. The original application deadline was set for March 7th, but to allow time for a larger applicant pool per council's request during the March 11th meeting, the deadline was extended to the March 28th, 2025 at 5 p.m. To boost interest, staff implemented additional outreach measures beyond our standard recruitment efforts. This would include direct contact with both previous applicants and current members and committees. In addition to attending having some outreach at budget stands for Holy, as well as Creek Week, among other events that the town has had over the past month. So as a result of this, we received 9 applications in total during the recruitment window. All applications were reviewed by council utilizing the following materials: MESC recruitment workbook being one of them, a compiled PDF of all non-applicants. Individual council electronic ballots were also sent to you, along with tallies of council votes in that same PDF. The appointment, I'm sorry, I heard. Okay. The appointments presented in the accompanying resolution reflect the outcome of these documents and the submitted council selections. So council may notice slightly different versions of the MESC resolution in circulation, one being different from what was published on our website to the public, and then 2 resolutions that I just passed out to you, or Aaron did. This is due to an oversight in which staff initially failed to reflect the appropriate term dates in accordance with the most recent revision of the appointed public bodies policy that was adopted on December 10th of last year. As updates were made to correct and align the resolution with the adopted policy, again, 3 slightly different versions of the resolution were generated. The versions that you have at your seats tonight includes the corrected start and end dates of each term and reflects the policy requirement that appointments fill only the remainder of the vacated terms. Lastly, the start dates of the new terms were reflected for approval before the adopted date. Originally, this item was scheduled to be briefed as a consent item, but due to some new information that the clerk's office received, this item transitioned into a new item. So there are 4 seats to be filled as part of it. Give me 1 second. As part of this off-cycle recruitment, each with varying term lengths to fill the remainder of the vacated term. 3 of those seats will have terms ending on July 31st, 2026. 1 of the seats will conclude July 31st, 2025. As a part of the appointment process, council will need to assign each selected applicant to a specific seat, which is why you see candidate A through D on one version of the resolution and candidate A through E on another version of the same resolution, of the second resolution. So again, as outlined in version 12 of the appointed public bodies policy, appointments should only fill the remainder of the existing term. So council retains the authority to adjust those term dates. The new development that I mentioned earlier was following the close in recruitment and voting, we were notified that MESC actually had an additional new vacancy due to Michelle Wright's resignation effective April 2nd of 2025. This leaves, again, a 5th seat open with a term expiring November 27th, 2025. So council is now being asked to decide whether to include this newly vacant seat in the current off-cycle process or wait and fill it during the next general recruitment cycle, which would begin next week, probably on Thursday, and in July 12th. Please forgive me, June 13th. Council will, like I said, has 2 options for these term dates. So you have the option of receiving an electronic ballot to designate term dates. Those ballots will need to be submitted to the deputy clerk, myself, by Sunday, April 13th at 5 p.m. And then option 2 would be to appoint to fill what are now 5 vacancies. And this will require voting for a 5th candidate. Will also require council's decision on which specified term dates for all 5 candidates. So, a piece of option 1 is included in option 2. And then council will receive, again, an electronic ballot to designate term dates. And the clerk's office will need the ballots to be returned by Sunday at 5 p.m. So yeah, so you'll receive 2 ballots with this second option. And the second part of the other ballot would be to determine who exactly you wanted to fill this 5th vacancy, along with which of these individuals are you going to put into specific term dates. And that's all I have for you. So again, 2 options there. I'll leave it open for discussion.
Exactly. Okay, we'll start the discussion with Councilmember Johnson, followed by Mayor Pro Tem Garamella, and I have some thoughts as well.
So I'm going to make a suggestion to try to simplify this whole thing, because we've already voted and chosen 4 candidates. Can we put the 4 candidates based on the number of votes received into the longest terms that are available? And then if there's and there would be an issue, just go by alphabetical order, start in alphabetical order. So in this case, we have 2 candidates that received 6 votes. They would get the terms A and B. The next 2 were tied and got 4 votes. By alphabetical order, give Sandra Christian the next candidate C, and then Wang Fu, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, the candidate DC. And then just bring it back on consent and be done. Obviously, that council has to agree with that.
That's right.
I'm not in favor of, and make that a policy going forward. The whole idea of us doing ballots outside of a meeting was to streamline this process. So if again, others have to weigh in, let's try to continue to streamline this process. And I am in favor of just appointing these 4, leaving the 5th seat open. The application period is opening in a couple of days, a week, and then we'll go forward in the next round.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Johnson.
Mayor Pro Tem Garamella, and then I have a yes and.
I agree everything what Liz has said. I'm a software engineer. I try to understand the code, but logic was too beyond my head. It was too complicated.
Yes.
So make it simple, as Liz said. We don't want to even see these kind of things. We vote, we move on.
Yes.
That I understand there's things. It's good that you're bringing it to us. That's okay, but I think it's too much logic put in there. Let's make it simple.
Yes, and we actually had a lot of discussion in the clerk's office to try to simplify it as much as we could. So I understand that. Thank you.
Okay. I had a yes and from Councilmember Johnson. She mentioned candidate D. I'd actually give the 4th person who's already been appointed the November 27th date, which is a little bit further, because
include that date
would make
now.
sense.
I would agree
So
with that.
just add that one, and then we have those 4 all set. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So you would, or council would like for the term that's expected to expire July 31st, just leave that vacant for right now?
Goes away.
Okay, yeah.
Councilmember Rabadi?
So, God, yes to everything Liz said. Let's simplify this as much as possible. Also agree with the yes and. But I'm frankly concerned that we seem to continue to have these kinds of issues with the balloting process. It just, I feel like we haven't had like a clean ballot where everything was fine in the last, it's got to be 3 or 4 cycles. So my question is, what are we going to do about that? Because I feel like we keep not getting there.
Yes. So, I think that the clerk's office, now that we are fully staffed and we have the ability to kind of focus on our work and assign duties, and again, have that like a review process, and in the future would be nice. Now, this is the first off-cycle recruitment, as far as I'm aware of, that the town has had. I'm not too sure about that. I've only been here for the past couple of years, but with things kind of changing and again, the most recent adoption of the policy where previously before, there were assigned designated 2-year terms. And that has changed to just filling the actual seat instead of, so these changes that we have to reference in the appointed public bodies policy, the most that I can say, I think, is that, the intent is definitely there to try to streamline this process as much as possible. I think the clerk's team and myself have reached out to other municipalities on tracking of advisory committees and attending, classes, specifically School of Government classes, and asking what is the best way to actually track advisory committees and members, and not really having a definitive answer for that. So really just trying to record all activity as much as possible and as accurately as possible as well.
Right, so just to be clear, I'm not criticizing the clerk's office. You all are doing, each of you doing the work of 2 people, and you're doing a great job. I guess my question is more, anytime there's like little breaks like this, right? Where
Yes.
it usually indicates that there's something that should be automated somehow. So, I just want to kind of put it out there that there has got to be a way to automate this.
Yes.
To automate not just to automate the balloting, the creation of the packets,
Yes.
It can't be a manual process. And the fact that these little things keep happening, it's too manual.
Yes.
So I think that could be a focus for us going forward now that we do have additional staff.
Yeah.
I would love to see this whole process just get automated.
Yes. And I forgot to pull up something else, that you're receiving the monthly advisory committee reports. That is the clerk's office attempt to manually track all activity that's going on within the advisory committees. And so again, that's the first time this year that we've actually had that report that you'll use for reference, hopefully many, many, many years from now. And we're gonna spruce it up. We're gonna do our best to, again, just bring you the information that you really need to make these decisions.
So
Yeah,
this time
definitely
you-
appreciate that you all keep innovating that way. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'm so sorry, Mayor, but I think Town Manager Zudema had something to say before.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Rabati, to your point, we do have some challenges with our current software. We are in the process now that Kayla is here, and we're going to have the staff to settle things in. We are going to be doing evaluation of alternative software that would help us manage this process. The software we have, I would say, is not helpful to that process. In terms of the prior full recruitments, fully acknowledge we had issues there. And so what we did after that is Aaron and Bianca and I sat down and we did a full walkthrough of what went wrong, why it went wrong, and there is now a template in place to walk through that process in the future to avoid those errors. So again, that's the hit by the bus theory. If none of us are here tomorrow, somebody could pick that up and do that without ever having done it because we have a good set of guidance for that. In the case of this off-cycle, it is the first one. We did have a miss. We missed that the changes had occurred related to the terms, but then we also had a last-minute change to go from a consent item to a action item because of the fact that we've not dealt with this before, where there would be various terms and we'd have to figure out how to put people into those terms. So we've also learned from this. This will be added to that guidance. And then again, we're gonna ideally get some software that's gonna better help with that, but thank you.
Okay. Does staff have what they need to bring something back for us?
Yes, I did want to ask to confirm, I heard you say alphabetical order. Is it by first name, last name? How would you?
Well, the 2 that got 6 votes, they get the longest terms.
Yes.
Right off the bat. And then the
Right.
next 2, what was your
By
suggestion?
last name, alphabetical order.
Last name, alphabetical.
Understood.
Sound
Thank
good?
you. Sounds good. Thank
Fair
you so
enough.
much.
Thank you very much.
You're
Great
welcome.
suggestion, Councilmember Johnson. Okay, Our next item is a work session. We're just taking a 5-minute break just to move to the table. We're all staying in the room. Please bring your blue cards and any notes that you might need and your microphones. And we're going to ask Christy Moser to join us at the table. I'll invite Christy Moser, Morrisville Chamber of Commerce President, to the table. Oh, there you are, to provide an update to Town Council and facilitate discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council and Mayor. Thank you for having me. I know y'all have had a long session, so I will go through this and have plenty of time for questions. But first of all, I just want to thank you all for your continued support with the Morrisville Chamber of Commerce. We have greatly appreciated your involvement and, of course, your financial support through now. And so I'd love to give you an update, walk through where we are so far this year, where we plan to go this year, and then again, open it up for questions and talk about that. So we, again, have a wonderful partnership with the town of Morrisville. We are very appreciative of that. And so I want to go through some of the things that meet the agreement that we have with you all to just briefly go through there. I'm going to start off real quick with just the list of new members we have that have started off from January through current. I think we've had a couple more this week. Everything I have in here is through April 1st. So when I pulled anything, just so you know, a few things have changed between now and then. List of new members. We also have a list of potential new members. We are very active working and networking and reaching out to lots of folks in the community and trying to make those connections. Always open to any connections you may have. I know that Mayor and Brandon have sent us a number over the last couple of months. We are appreciative of that as well. I'm reaching out to those. Nordstrom Rack is a new member as well. They are not listed on here. And this kind of goes into the agreement that we have with you all going forward. And so this is just a snapshot of some of the things that we are fulfilling to with that agreement. So I'm not going to go through this line by line, just so you know. But these are through April, the things that we have done and are doing. I will continue. You all stop me if I need to slow down or back up at all. This is for the rest of the year. I believe per council request, or what came out of the planning session in January, was that the state of Morrisville would be moved to February of next year. So we have more of a kickoff to the year, and we are pleased to do that. But we do have a town forum center update, more of a state of Morrisville, happening at May 29th at Wake Tech Community College, and that will feature Brandon, Michelle, I believe Giselle, and Avi Girl. A good update from the town as well as on the center. What time is that, Christy? You said May 29th? May 29th. It is in the morning, and I think it is 9 a.m. 8 to 10:30. Okay, yes. That sounds about right. Thank you. Yes, Town Center Forum. We are pleased to offer our Coffee and Connections that happen monthly. Those are great networking opportunities. Our Life Sciences Networking After Hours is another popular series that we have. Of course, we are focusing on a lot of small business opportunities, workshops. We have a couple coming up this month alone, Perk Up Your Business, and a small business mastermind with Pinnacle Financial are just a couple of those that are happening this month alone. Let me see. Also in May, we have our it's called KNOW, our Knowledgeable Network of Women with Flourish and Growth for Entrepreneurs and Small Businesses with Cherith Robertson, she used to be with the Wake Tech Small Business and Industry Center. And that one is very small business focused on if you're starting a business or have already started a business, but really having a workbook and how you can continue to thrive and grow with your business there. Of course, then the rest of the year, we have some great opportunities. Launch Morrisville did move to the fall of this year. We didn't have enough interest in the beginning of this year, so we are continuing that partnership with Wake Tech and that opportunity. I am planning on starting a Leadership Morrisville that will hopefully kick off in the fall of this year as well. And this just goes through a little bit of what is outlined, again, in the agreement and line items for those different series and things that are not included in that valuation on a per item basis, but that goes to show you kind of where the valuation lies. And And this is a little bit of year-to-date. Again, this was April 1st. So new members, it fluctuates, very cyclical sometimes, but we did have some great growth in January, February. In March in the chamber, we did not have very many dropped members. And then billing by month, you'll see that April has a lot of unpaid, but this was pulled April 1st. So we had a lot of invoices out there and are still collecting on some for the beginning months of this year as well. What'd you say? Sorry. Satish, sorry.
Do they pay monthly or yearly? Because you're seeing these dues like.
They are annual, but it is on the month that they joined. Yep.
Makes sense.
And administrative and financial reporting is something that we were asked to provide. So those were bank balances as of April. We do still have that outstanding First National Bank equity loan on the building. And I am going to go ahead and apologize to you all for the information at the bottom. The first part is correct, the revenue up at the top. However, we are in the process of finding a new CPA. We have interviewed 3 and should be making that decision very soon. There have been a number of errors in some of our reporting, and unfortunately, this was one thing that I saw again today that was not correct, and that was an error from above in the Excel sheet. So I apologize, but the bottom portion, the expenditures, budget was not 75, and so the operating revenue and everything else is skewed from there. So I do apologize for providing incorrect information there. I would love to give y'all an updated analysis on that as soon as I get that corrected. So my apologies there. We had a couple recent testimonials. One company reached out to us and provided us with this top one, which was just a great opportunity to ask them for a little bit more information that we actually put out to our members, but they contacted us. They do have a non-disclosure agreement with the company that they are working with, so I can't tell you who they are, but they met a company in 2023 at one of our life sciences networking events, and were able to, a couple of years later, secure 2 big contracts with them. So just an opportunity of showing how some of our events and networking opportunities are a great opportunity for small businesses, especially to get in with. This is a much bigger company, RTP Life Sciences company. And the further one is just, again, the value of being a Morrisville Chamber ambassador and with being a chamber member as well. So. Again, I don't know how in depth y'all want me to go, so I'm just gonna keep going. Is that good? Okay. All right. What'd you say, Satish?
Excellent speed.
Okay. They're very good. And where we stand today, our membership base is currently about 255 members. Quarterly meetings with Brandon, that is actually bi-monthly. I apologize on that. And I have been in contact with a number of businesses since I've gained this role, and some of those folks are listed up above. They are great resources and also great connectors for us going forward. I'm really focusing on efficiency for chamber operations and internal controls. With the 2.5 folks that we have, really efficiency is a big thing for us. I am condensing our services, including changing our insurance and banking to make that more streamlined, and as I mentioned, switching our CPA. We did talk about our strategic plan at our board retreat at the end of February, and we are continuing that process as well. And we are about to be featured in the Midtown West magazine, specifically about our coffee and connections, and I believe the life sciences event. And finally, I was able to introduce the town of Morrisville to 2 potential sponsors with all of the connections when I've been meeting. So one was with Wake Med, and the other one was with Weston RDU. Both of them were interested in potentially sponsoring cricket-related events. So those are just opportunities that I've been able to have. We have some new board members. They are up on the screen. I'm very excited to have these folks joining our board and bringing their wealth of knowledge and networks as well. And we had some board members rolling off. Those folks will be recognized at our annual meeting coming up in a couple of weeks. And as I said, the annual meeting's on the April 24th. I hope that you all will be able to join us. That is from 3 to 5 p.m., program from 3 to 4, and then a social hour immediately following. I mentioned earlier that great new small business workshop that we are hosting then. So, and now I'll take questions. Sorry, and I'm nervous, so.
facilitate the questions, or you want to just do it by?
Oh,
groupings?
sorry, thank you. Or, yeah.
So
whoever-
Christy,
yes, thank
the slide you had with the list of the new members?
Yes, ma'am.
Are they brand new or, because I know one is returning that now I lost it. But anyhow, how many of those are brand new to the chamber? Do you know offhand?
Let me look at a number are brand new. There are some returning that they had dropped at one point in time or
Right.
another, but
Yeah.
then, yes, we're able to gain them back. So
Yeah, I think it's Neiman. Neiman used to be a member
They
and came back.
were, yes.
Was that, yeah.
They were, they used to be, had dropped a couple years ago, I believe, and then I was
Yeah.
able to reconnect
And I'm
with
sure
them, so-
the COVID hit everybody differently, right? And
yes.
especially our small retail and our restaurants. And so I think that's great that you're concentrating on, bringing some of those folks back too. So good.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
Yes.
Western RDU, is it Briar Creek one?
The Briar Creek one. Yes, that is correct.
If you
Yes.
need anything, let me know.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, CMC Hotel Group, but Weston RDU falls under them. So, yes. Thank you, Steve. Anne, you have any questions for me?
Yeah, could you just maybe tell us a little bit about, have you been able to partner with Tiffany at all? How's that going?
Yes, Tiffany and I have worked together. I actually signed on to a grant application with her back in February. And I'd have to look at what that was called, but that was the Southern Cities Economic Inclusion Initiative. So that was a partnership that we were able to do. I will be meeting Amelia tomorrow morning with her, trying to make some connections. I know she was wanting a contact at Siemens. So yes, we've been working well together and trying to help each other when we can, for sure.
Yeah, I know that you came into the, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, for clarification, Amelia is our new small business specialist.
My
You've not all had a
apologies.
chance to meet her yet.
The email?
Sorry, Brandon.
And I just want to say, it looks like you've been doing a lot of great work. I mean, I know that you came into the role with extensive chamber experience.
Yes.
And I really think it's great that you hit the ground running and being able to leverage that so well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I echo that. Thank you, Ann, for
I
saying that.
echo those echoes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, don't be nervous.
Thank you.
Yeah, the testimony of so quickly you're able to get all that and plus rolling. I think all of us should see where we can get those connections and give it to us.
Thank you.
Because the better you guys are, the better for us and
That's
the
right.
better for the town.
Thank you. Thank you.
It might,
Agree.
since I actually do still have the floor, it might be better if, it might be a good idea to let us know if there are companies that you'd specifically like to target, because if we know, who you're trying to reach out to, I mean, like Satish knows everybody, and Steve too. So, it may be that we can help you, and for me, I'll only speak for myself, but it's way more likely that I'll be able to help you if you send me a specific request for something.
Perfect.
Like, I always have it in my mind that I should be helping, but if you send me a specific request, 10 times more likely to get some kind of action.
That is perfect. Thank you so much for that. I will do that. Steve? Sorry, I'm just going down the line. So.
No, it's been really impressive. I mean, I think that, whatever you can do to continue to get the momentum back, see the meetings getting bigger.
Yes.
I like the business after hours, doing different things with different businesses. And my only feedback would be just continue to leverage, groups like Thai Carolina's startups. I wish Morrisville had more, like, Raleigh Durham Startup Summit. They never reach out to any of the other towns. Everything's always in Durham, Raleigh, and I don't, it's kind of strange because there's so many entrepreneurs, especially from, we're like just all over the world living here. So I think to the extent we can collaborate more with those organizations and have some of those things in Morrisville or even Cary or Apex, because right now everything's got to go to Durham, and it's hard to park, and it's just really, so that's just my only thing, is just collaborating.
Absolutely.
And we can help with those connections.
Thank you.
And
Yes.
the launch program, is that, you're going to do that again? Are we going to try to grow that more?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. We were going to try to do that in the fall. So, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys are small but mighty. You're doing great work with a small staff. As you increase the bandwidth, I look forward to incubators and more startup opportunities and making the connections and helping with our cricket sponsorships and leaning into that and our strengths. I think that's going to be really nice.
Thank you. Thank you for the
Anything else?
tagline, too.
Okay.
Yeah, one suggestion is I would say, yes, we are getting all these new members, you're increasing sponsorship, but also if you can kickstart like a spotlights, because there are some of the existing ones, might be member, might be not, that might be a way to grab their membership or help them is, I hate to see the small businesses fall off the chain, and many of the strip malls are happening more and more. So anything that combination of the town and you to spread the word, like a weekly spotlight.
Okay. Yes.
Or something,
Mhm.
because we want all of them. They put a lot of money into it, so
Yes, yeah.
we want them to be successful. And anything that we can do from our side, just channeling, hey, this is a good Italian place. This is a good one here.
Okay. Yeah.
We are not biased to anyone. We like all businesses.
Yes, we do. It's great. Thank you for that. Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you, Mayor. So I would concur with what you all have to say. I've had the chance to work regularly with Christy, seen a lot of progress, a lot of positive change with the chamber. I think they're pushing to do everything they can. The building's busy, and downstairs there's a lot of good events going on. And again, I think addressing some areas that you previously may have had at least some question, if not concern, in the past. So I think that she's following what you asked for. So this report tonight essentially is the quarterly report that is required in the services agreement that you all signed with the chamber last year. So what we will do from here is that I will give Christy the opportunity to let me know if the chamber wants to see any changes in that document. We are in the process of reviewing that document. Tiffany has looked at it, I think I would call them tweaks more than significant substantial changes that may come out of that. So we'll come back to you with an opportunity to revise that document so that we can get it adopted prior to the end of the fiscal year. The current agreement runs through June 30th. We'd want to get that adopted before July 1st. The other conversation that we'll have with you in one of our budget work sessions is funding for the chamber for FY26. So again, you did $50,000 this year to support them. And then we also do some other money related to the leasing of the upstairs, or the treehouse, as we affectionately call it, and some other minor things. So we will circle back and ask you if you're willing to do that again, or if you want to see a change to that number, so we can program that into both the budget and the services agreement before we ask that to get adopted.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Lots of head
Excellent.
nods.
Thank you. Thank you all. Have a great night. Thank you.
Councilmember Rabadi?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
I do just have one suggestion, which is if this is going to function as a quarterly report, I would love to see, I saw that you did put some metrics in there, which is great, but I would really like to see more and different metrics of, like I'd like to see metrics around your partnerships with the town, like to see metrics about growth in event participation, just anything really, frankly, anything that you can put a dollar sign on.
Okay.
I would love to see in this report, because we make budget decisions, and it's a lot easier to make a budget decision that we know is going to pay for itself than it is to make a budget decision that's throwing money down the well. So anything that you can tell me personally about what you're bringing to the town, and what the partnership with the chamber, the value it's bringing to the town, is going to really help me.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
And like the new board members, that's going to spread our reach a lot. There's a lot
Yes.
of good contacts in there.
There are. Yes. Thank you.
Emily,
Oh, she is still an advisory
going
board
far.
member. She's not going far.
Okay,
so
good.
she's been very helpful, and I've known her for a long time. So she's great. Yes.
She's a fellow Georgia Tech grad, so I like her.
Yes.
Buzz,
She's
buzz. Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Thank
Keep
you.
up the great
All
work.
right, thank you. Have a good night. Thank you.
Okay, we have one closed session this evening to discuss an economic development matter. Thank you to everyone for watching this evening. As this is the end of our public business, I'd ask for a motion to enter into closed session. I don't have that with me. Oh, there it is.
Pursuant to North Carolina statute 143.31.11A4, we go into an closed session for economic development. I make that motion.
A motion and a second from Councilmember Rabati. All those in favor of going to closed session, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries unanimously 6-0. It is 9:31. We are now in closed session. If we can clear the room as necessary.